podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, May 21st, 2022. This is episode 1895. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by userway.org. Userway is the world's #1 accessibility solution, and it's committed to enabling the fundamental human right of digital accessibility for everyone. When you're ready to make your site compliant, deciding which solution to use, it's an easy choice to make. Do what we did. Go to userway.org/twit and get 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, along with Micah Sargent, Tech Guy 2. It is Tech Guy Day in the studio. It's a beautiful day in the Tech Guy studio.
I've taken off my shoes, switched them in for my house
I like
slippers.
the cardigan. It's very good. We're cozy, we're comfy, and we're ready to answer your tech questions at 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, it's still toll free, but you have to use Skype out, something like that. Website, techguylabs.com. So Apple, I think, was kind of pressured into self-repair. You know, there's this whole right-to-repair movement going on all over the country, and I think more than 24 state legislatures have bills requiring that you should be able to repair your stuff, your iPhone, your AirPods, whatever it is that's broken. I think a lot of this actually comes from farm country, where they're all peeved and miffed about John Deere. You buy yourself a $400,000 combine harvester, and you have to bring it to the John Deere guy to fix it. No matter what, only John Deere can fix it. And if you do have the temerity to fix it yourself, you still have to bring it to the John Deere guy so he can run a little computer program that blesses it and says, okay, it's all right. And so people are annoyed about that, although it bit the Russians in the butt a couple of weeks ago. Did you see that? They stole a bunch of John Deere tractors from Ukraine and started to drive them back to Russia, and John Deere pulled the plug. Turns out they have the capability from the factory of disabling that combine, that tractor, that device. And so they did, which is, good on them for messing with the Russians. But it does raise this specter. Increasingly, the stuff we buy and think we own is not our own. If at any time a company can disable your device remotely, do you own it? So Apple's been under a lot of pressure, not just from the U.S., but from the EU, saying, you gotta let people fix their own phones. Apple's always said, well, we would, Your Honor, we would, but if they did it, it would be a security problem. Apple loves this one. It would be a security problem. You could no longer trust the fingerprint reader or the face recognition, which means what? I don't know. A bad guy could, I don't know, something.
Something, exactly.
Something.
I don't know, something, exactly. Fill in the blank.
Something bad.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they say, well, okay, we're going to let, first of all, they weren't even selling parts. Finally, they kind of, well, okay, you can buy a part, but if you, the most famous case was if you've repaired the screen, if you replaced the screen, because that's the first thing people break, right? That glass screen. If you break the screen and it's somebody, not us, repairs it, well, the fingerprint ID is not going to work anymore. And people said, well, what do you mean? They said, well, you can't, because who knows? Something. You wouldn't want that, would you? Eventually, they kind of caved on that. And now, a couple of months ago, there's a good term for this. It's called Malicious Compliance. There's a fun Reddit subreddit called Malicious Compliance, where, teenagers do this. Okay, if you insist, right?
I'm going to do exactly that.
If you insist.
Uh-huh.
So Apple said, well, if you insist, we'll make self-repair possible. But it ain't going to be easy.
No.
So Micah has agreed to be the guinea pig for this. What did you do?
So I've got an iPhone 12 and I'm going to replace the battery on it, right?
As one does.
As one does, as the battery gets old, I'm using it as a camera, and so it's regularly turned on. It's regularly being used.
Apple's, charge for replacing is about $80. It's not hugely expensive.
That part is not expensive.
Yeah.
But what is expensive is, and of course this goes away, but there's a temporary charge.
But I'm just saying, if you brought it to the Apple store.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
They'd replace it.
Yes, they would replace it $80, $90. Right.
So
if you're close to one.
And on that, partly it's just like this moral thing. Well, I ought to be able to replace it, even if it's cheap and easy to bring it to Apple. But there are a lot of things you can break that Apple doesn't fix it; they just replace it. Unfortunately, none of those things can be fixed by this repair program.
You've got
it's very limited.
The device inside that does the haptic vibrations that can be replaced. The SIM card, which is where you just order a part for it. The SIM card tray, rather.
Yeah.
The display, the battery, and I think that's about it.
The back. Can you replace the back?
The back glass.
Because it's glass.
Yeah.
So, but those are the most common things for the phone. But, you're not going to be able to fix your MacBook.
Right. That's not on there yet. I don't know if it ever will be.
And then the other thing Apple says is, well, you can't do this with normal tools. They have built special machinery for the Apple stores to fix this stuff.
Huge hulking machinery.
So how do they solve this?
They solve it by getting Pelican cases, which for folks who don't know are these very industrial sort of cases that are used for bands and groups that
I have a lot
around.
of them.
You've got some
hard shell
ones.
cases for photographic equipment, things like that.
And they put in these gigantic tools and they just slap a shipping label on the side.
The machinery, it's like a drill press. There's all sorts of weird machinery, and it's how much? 79 pounds?
79 pounds. Yeah.
There's two Pelican. Your poor UPS guy has to lug to the porch 2 Pelican cases weighing a total of 79 pounds.
Huge cases.
Now, the good news is you could buy these for thousands of dollars, but you don't have to.
Right. You can rent them, and the rental price is $49 for 7 days. But this is something that folks have to be aware of. They will put, which makes sense, but at the same time, it's very expensive, a temporary hold on your card for the cost of those devices.
Oh, wow.
So $1,200 is going to sit on your card until the whole process is complete versus taking it in an Apple store and just paying $80 and being done.
And you only have what? How many days?
7 days.
7 days.
You got a week from arrival.
And if you don't return it?
If you don't return it within, I think there's a grace period, then they're going to charge you for those devices.
Okay, you bought it.
You keep it, you bought it.
All right. Well, at least they let you, that you've got access to these devices. And then the part, you have to buy the part.
Yeah, you buy the part, but you can send back the broken part to them and they will give you a credit. So there's about a $46 credit max if I send back, which I will, the battery later on. So they do include some credits for folks who are sending back their broken
what's the
pieces.
total cost you're at?
The total cost is going to be about $90.
So in other words,
the same price as going to the store.
You could go to the store and let them do all the work. But we thought it'd be fun for you to do it.
Yeah, I am actually looking forward to going through the process.
So we're going to make a video of this. It'll be available by next week.
And next week.
That will be Micah with all this gear.
Gigantic Pelican cases.
Have you opened the
peering
cases?
over. I did this morning.
What is it like?
Inside it smells industrial, which was kind of wild.
Yeah.
They have these little red tags that are zip tied to the outside that you have to actually clip, and they include new ones in there that you put on after when you send it back.
Wow.
So that way they know that people haven't opened them. And inside, there's this huge metal encased device that you have to pull out of the specially shaped foam, and there's a little guide that shows you what all the pieces are. They have these tiny little boxes that you open up. You take the clasps off the side that have the little tools inside. It's pretty wild.
Wow.
And yeah, I'll have to show you.
You're brave. I'm glad you're going to do this. This was your idea, I want to point out.
Yeah, this was my idea. So if it goes horribly wrong, I'm to blame.
Good. Well, we'll get the firsthand experience of and this is, again, malicious compliance. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you want these? You want to do it?
All right.
Here you go.
Here you go. Good luck.
The repair manual itself is so many pages, and yeah, it's going to be a ride, we'll say.
So there's like a screen press.
There's a screen. There's a heated display press.
First, you have to unglue it.
That helps you unglue the screen.
So there's like a little oven.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little
warms
oven,
it up.
Easy bake oven.
Yeah, it's not too hot, not too cold.
Suction cup it off the top. You have to slip it into a special pocket. But then the other device is a roller that rolls the screen back on afterward. Oh boy!
They invented all this stuff for the Apple Store, so I guess from their point of view, we had to do this. I don't know.
Malicious. I can't wait to read that Reddit now.
Malicious Compliance. Oh, it's great. It's all the things teenagers do. What are some examples when you were a teenager, a rebellious teenager, and mom said, "Okay, you got to get a haircut." And you'd shave your head. Yeah.
I think of actually Michael Scott, who
on The Office.
On The Office. Sorry, they call him, and the corporate calls him and says you have to hand out these leads to your employees. He's meant to hand them out to his sales team, but he feels like the sales team is being a little bit too high and mighty. So they say hand it out. He goes, "I'm going to do exactly that." And then the guy asks, like, "Why are you saying that?" Anyway, it ends up that he hands them out not to the sales team, but to everyone else in the office, who the sales team then has to go to and bow down to get the leads.
Malicious Compliance. I love it. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. We're going to take your calls in just a bit. Big show coming up. We've got Scott Wilkinson talking home theater. We'll talk travel with Johnny Jet, Dick Debartolo, our GizWiz, all ahead.
I love that subreddit. It's hilarious.
Isn't it? Malicious Compliance. I wish I could have thought of some better examples of malicious compliance. I should have prepared. Should have prepared better. As usual, I prepare after the show. That's what I prepare. Let's see. Yeah, it's reddit.com/r/malicious compliance. Oh, I misspelled it. That's all right. I found it anyway. Is malicious compliance about Reddit itself? No. Okay. Malicious compliance. Way back when I lived in a student dormitory in the Netherlands.
Yeah, might want to.
Yeah, skip that one. Yeah. It's funny. Croatia. I was born in Croatia, moved to the U.S. 35 years ago. I needed my birth certificate for some real estate transactions since I'm in the U.S. My sister went to the regional office to get the birth certificate. She knows that the bureaucracy in Croatia is horrible, but her trick to come in about 5 to 10 minutes before closing, because they want to go home, so they don't complicate things. So here's their conversation. Sister, good afternoon. Lady behind counter, good afternoon. I'm here to get the birth certificate for my brother. Sure, we can do that. Was he ever married? Yes, he's married. Oh, sorry. We need the marriage certificate to verify that he did not change his last name. You have to go to this address to get the marriage certificate. Silence. Would you mind if we start again? No problem. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm here to get the birth certificate for my brother. Sure, we can do that. Was he ever married? No, never. Here you go. Have a nice evening. You too. I don't know if that qualifies.
Yeah, not quite malicious.
No,
compliance.
but it's good. It's a good bureaucracy story.
Do you need me to file safety reports? You got it. That's something like that I could see as an example where
Lawyers
you file every single possible thing into the system.
Lawyers do that when there's a request for documents. They provide you.
Oh yeah, exactly. They'll ship you the whole thing.
Boxes. Yeah. For the last 3 years, I've worked as a muralist for a mural company. I had a good boss, skilled partner, worked alongside us. Unfortunately, retired last year and gave full control of the company to his business partner. It immediately became a mess. Business partner, blah, blah, blah. Final straw came 3 months later. Our company won a huge bid to paint the side of a 5-story tall building. Using my design, I told the boss it would take us 5 weeks to complete. However, a week before the project was due to start, he told us we had 3 weeks. What? We can't. He, of course, told us the contract had been signed, brushed off concerns. He did offer us financial incentives for overtime work. Knowing there was nothing we could do, we accepted. I simplified the design. We planned to stay late. The weather got bad. A few days of rain. On the third week, we were working on light drizzle started. We were waiting in our cars, hoping it would pass when the boss showed up. When he saw us, he started to accuse us of being lazy. This is why we're falling behind. One of my coworkers said through gritted teeth, can't you see it's raining? Before we could explain why you can't paint in the rain, the boss yelled, if you're scared of a little drizzle, you shouldn't be a muralist. Get back to work. My coworker shot me a look, and I knew immediately the malicious compliance was on. The three of us got back on the scaffolding and began working. The boss smugly said, see, that wasn't so hard, and drove off. We kept our smiles to ourselves. When the boss returned that afternoon, he was horrified. The rain had washed the wet paint down the building, leaving paint streaks dripping into the rest of the mural. Basically, the whole mural, 3 weeks of work, was ruined. What the hell were you guys thinking? My coworker replied, well, you were the one who told us to do it. How are we going to fix this? You mean, how are you going to fix it? We've decided to all quit. Hey la! It's time. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I give to you the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer, our phone angel. Kimmy don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy Schaffer.
Hello. How you doing?
That's the whole shtick right there. I don't have anything left.
You don't have anything?
out
You
of
got
gas.
nothing?
I got nothing.
You've been talking about repairing. Yeah, you've been doing a lot of talking during the break, so I don't know how you're going to make it all 3
iPhone.
hours.
Do you have an iPhone or an Android phone?
I have an iPhone.
Can we fix it?
Yes, you can. It's a XS Max or 10S
Nope, can't
Max.
fix it.
Can't fix it.
Oh, you can't?
Not with Apple, at least.
Too old?
Apple will only let you fix
12, 13, and the latest iPhone SE.
which just came out. So
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd need it fixed.
Well, if you got it and you said, woohoo, and then it shattered.
That's kind of malicious compliance where they go, okay, yeah, you can fix it, but only if it's a brand new one.
I'm hoping they add more as the supply chain fixes
That's
itself.
such a good excuse.
The only problem I'm having with this is I take too many pictures. That's my own fault.
Storage.
Yeah.
We can't really help you with
And
that
I'm at
one.
256. I got the big model
Holy
back
cow.
then, so
You need 2 phones.
I have literally had people call this show saying, I need a new iPhone. Why?
because it's full.
It's full.
Well, that's me. I need a new car. I have a hole in my tire. Like, I've got a crack in my window right now, and I'm like, damn it, this car's only a couple years old, but I want
It's
a new car now.
broken.
It's broken. I need it pristine.
I need a new one. It's
A
broken.
new one.
Take it to the dealer. I'm sure they'll give you a new one.
Oh yeah. Well, they're trying to buy it back, but
See?
that's a supply chain issue right
I
there.
know. Right now, anybody's got a car, probably
Yeah.
could sell it for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Who should I talk to?
Let's go to Sandra in Norwalk. How are your feelings on those cash between people apps? But specifically, she's asking about Zelle.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Sandra, Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent. You're 2 tech
Hello.
guys. Hello.
Hi, my son's name is Micah, too. I love that name.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But,
Well, hello, Micah.
but
Yeah, how's it spelled?
Micah.
Yeah.
Yes, the classic way.
The right
C
way.
for classic.
Micah spells his with a
Anyway.
K
Yeah, mine's with
because
a K because the nurse
a
misspelled
mistake
it.
at the factory.
And my mom said, I like that. It's unique. So she kept it.
Well, good for her.
Yeah, and it's, you know what, we're used to it. We like it. What can we do for you today, son?
Okay. I decided to go ahead and put the app Zelle, Zelle, on my phone because my circle of friends have it, and when we
Right.
go out and eat or do this or that. Okay. What I'm concerned about, since it's connected to my bank account,
Yeah.
and I just wonder how safe it really is, or what I need to do to make it more safer. I just would hate somebody to hack
Of
in.
course. It's perfectly safe.
The safest.
It
of
comes
them.
it comes from the banks themselves. So what happened was PayPal, you probably heard of them, created a
Yeah.
service called Venmo that all the kids fell in love with. And then Square created one called Cash.me that all the kids fell in love with. And then Apple created Apple Pay and all the kids fell in love with it. And the banks are starting to freak out saying, what are we going to do? Nobody needs us anymore. When's the last time you wrote a check? So they created Zelle as competition. In fact, Zelle is offered through my bank as opposed to a standalone app. You might look and see if your bank offers Zelle Direct. Then you could log in with your banking app, and that would be, of course, more secure because obviously, if people had your banking app, it doesn't matter whether you're using Zelle or not. You know, you want to make sure your bank account is very secure. If you're gonna use Zelle, just make sure you have a good, strong password. I don't know. Do they allow two-factor authentication?
I don't know.
Yeah, see if they do. What you want.
Okay, wait. What is that called again?
Two-factor, number two-factor. Instead of one-factor, which is just a password, they have a second way of identifying yourself that's required from time to time. Usually it's using either a text message to your phone or an application called an authenticator, which generates a 6-digit code. And it just means that the bad guy would not only have to guess your login and password, but would also have to have access to your phone, which usually means it's very secure. I'm sure Zelle offers something like that. That would be the
bank. Oh.
Well, the first thing I would check is, is it okay to tell me your bank?
Yeah, Long Beach Financial Credit Union.
Okay, so sometimes credit unions are too small to offer Zelle, but that's the first thing I do is call the bank and say, do you do Zelle? Like directly through your app? Do you have an app for the Long Beach Credit Union?
Yes,
Okay, well, look in the app and see if they offer Zelle. That's how I do it. I have USAA for my banking. Bank of America uses it. A lot of banks, have a Zelle button in the app, and that's because it came from the banks. The banks wanted you to.
Do you think I should, if they don't, for more peace of mind, would it be best if I open a bank account somewhere else?
No. It's completely safe. It's completely safe. The main thing is, as with anything, including your bank account, to be as secure as possible with a login to that app, right? So you don't use a password that's your birthday and your mother's maiden name. Don't use, make it a really good password that's impossible to memorize.
Right.
Right. You understand all those rules.
A long time ago, I've listened to you, and I am not tech savvy, even though I use an iPad, iPhone, and I have a laptop. But still and yet, I'm very limited. But I do remember a long time ago, you said to, maybe if there's a rhyme or something, some favorite saying, and take the first letter, or
that's a good way to make a password. But because you've made that now, I bet you use it over and over again. That's the other bad thing.
Anybody could figure it out.
Well, but if so here's the
it's really hard.
I understand, but here's the doomsday scenario. You hear this happening all the time. Target gets hacked, and all the passwords that Target has get leaked with your email address and your password. Now, that's not a problem if you don't use that password everywhere else. But if you do, then the bad guys do something called credential stuffing. They try that login and password everywhere else until see if it works. So reusing passwords is a recipe for disaster. So two of the big things you should do with Zelle: have a unique password and turn on multi-factor or two-factor authentication. Then it's completely safe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So let me just see, because Zelle has I'll just check for you right now, Sandra. Zelle has a list.
While you're looking, there's one other bit of advice I would offer, and that is when you are adding new people to the app, the people that you're wanting to exchange money with, it is best to do that either in person or in the moment, because sometimes you can get, this happens to me on the Cash App sometimes, where some random person will request money from me or try to send money to me, and then later on they remove it from the account. And so you want to make sure that the person that you're talking to
is your friend.
That you've connected with is your friend. So it's best if, when you go out to the lunch to do that and you're exchanging money over Zelle, that you're right there kind of seeing each other do that process.
Yeah. And that's a very good point. Only do it with people family members. Yeah, and it's not fake, because that is a very big scam where, I got an email from my gardener who said, I went to Poland for a week and I lost my passport and all my money. Can you just send me some money, and I'll be back in a week and I'll pay you back. Otherwise, I can't get home and your garden's going to go to hell. And of course, it wasn't really my gardener. So, if they be very careful, send it only when you really know it's a legit request. That's all good advice. Long Beach LBSFCU does not, in fact, support Zelle. I mean, they'll support it. In other words, you could set up your account with Zelle.
Yeah, as you've done, but just not directly.
They don't have Zelle in there. They don't. They just talk about sending bill payment, wire transfers, online transfers. This is not unusual.
I find,
unions.
credit unions are often behind in the tech.
Yeah. All right, let me see if this will charge my watch. No.
No watch charging.
No watch charging. No watch charging.
I wonder if it'll charge AirPods Pro.
Those are chi. I think the watch is not chi. Like, that's the big...
Yeah, it's own little
special... I wish they would make it chi.
Special Wi-Fi. Or special wireless.
It's some special puck thing. And the other thing I have is I have this big old, thick old case. Let's see if it'll go through the case. It may not have enough juice. I just plugged it into a computer. That's probably not enough. Let's plug it into this. PD, baby.
PD?
God, is that heavy? That's good because you can put that on your nightstand and it ain't going anywhere.
It ain't moving when you take the phone off.
Like a coaster.
Not through the case?
Well, we haven't...
Oh, there it goes.
Bing.
Nice.
No.
Oh.
No. No.
Just make sure
I think that's
working.
exactly what they have. All right, let's just see. You have a MagSafe case.
Yeah. It should thwop.
Oh, yeah. It's like sucking it in. It's like... Yeah, see, that's the problem is that this case is not... Plus, a lot of Lightning things don't.
Did you see that new HP laptop?
Linux.
Yeah.
Linux, baby. Pop OS.
Pop OS, baby.
Pop OS. Yeah, see, that works. And look at that. That's magnetism. Magnetism at work. That's actually good because it means it won't come off once it's on. I'll give that to Lisa, maybe. Oh, we'll keep it here for
That's what I did
the
with
ads.
One I had, I gave it to
adverts.
Sebastian.
See, it's charging on this thing, though. So it might be positioning. The Tech Guy Podcast brought to you today by userway.org. We have UserWay, our website now, and I am loving it. Every website, this is the law of the land. Every website, without exception, has to be accessible. That's the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it is a good thing. But if you have a website, if you have a business with a website, and you're thinking, oh, what does that mean, accessible? And maybe even go out and you talk to some consultants and they give you a quote, you might think, I don't know if I can do this. Well, I got to tell you, you need to go to UserWay. UserWay's incredible AI-powered solution tirelessly enforces the hundreds of web accessibility guidelines, the WCAG, they call them the WCAG guidelines. And I tell you, it's one line of JavaScript. It was so easy. In a matter of seconds, UserWay AI can achieve more than an entire team of developers can in months for a heck of a lot less. UserWay's solutions are easy. They're cost-effective. In fact, right now, what you should do is go to userway.org/twit and try their free scanning tool and just see, is your web, maybe it's perfect. It's ADA compliant. Even if it is, there's things that, in fact, if you want to see what UserWay can do, go to our website, twit.tv. In the lower right, you'll see the accessibility icon. Click that. See that menu. There's dyslexic fonts, there's color fonts, colors that are web accessible. There's all sorts of stuff that it adds to your page, even if you're fully ADA compliant, that are just a great convenience, by the way, for everyone. For everyone. UserWay's solutions make it simple, easy, and cost-effective. And if you have an enterprise-level website with thousands of pages, don't worry. UserWay offers a managed solution. Their team can handle everything for you. Let me tell you, that's why big companies use UserWay. Some of the biggest companies in the business, Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, FedEx, over 1 million websites use UserWay to make their site's accessible. And now UserWay is making these best-in-class enterprise-level tools available to small and medium businesses like ours. And if you get big, they can scale with you. You know they can. If they can handle Coca-Cola and Disney, they can handle your site. It's the leading accessibility solution in the market today, a market share of 61%. Motley Fool, as an example, had 1,911 pages on their website. Of course, they've been in business for, a couple of decades. They were getting 20 million page views a day. They had already, they were smart, as most web designers. They'd structured it for accessibility. But it was a lot of work to keep the site updated to current standards. The standards change. Plus, every time you put a new page up, you got to go through it. You got to make sure there's alt tags for all the images. They used UserWay to add an extra layer of accessibility to make sure the browsing experience is accessible to everyone. UserWay's been around for years on the cutting edge. In fact, I talked to one of the UserWay folks who is on the Web Accessibility Guidelines Committee, the WCAG. And, they're very, very connected with making this stuff accessible. You want to do this. Not only is it your legal responsibility, I don't even want to push that. It's just the right thing to do. You want to show that you care in your business for everybody. You don't want to throw away 61 million Americans with disabilities who wouldn't be able to see your website. That's ridiculous. Nobody would do that. It auto-generates image alt tags. You can, of course, enhance the descriptions. It remediates complex nav menus, makes sure the pop-ups are accessible, fixes vague link violations. Of course, broken links are fixed. That's nice, right? It makes sure your website uses accessible colors in the accessibility layer, so you're still true to your brand. You'll get a detailed report of everything it did. You can modify anything. You can work with it. It's completely platform agnostic. It's a one line in JavaScript. You can do it on any site. They have it. It's even easier. They have WordPress plugins, Shopify, Wix, Sitecore, SharePoint. This is what you want to do. Just ask Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri. She's a fan.
Hi, I'm Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. You won't hear me say something like this too often. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're looking for. But every day, that's what the internet is like for millions of people with disabilities. UserWay fixes all of that with just one line of code.
UserWay can make any website fully accessible, fully ADA compliant. They did it with ours. They can do it with yours. With UserWay, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly, customize it to fit their needs. It's a great way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. Go to userway.org/twit. You'll get 30% off right now, 30% off UserWay's AI-powered accessibility solution. UserWay, making the internet accessible for everyone. Please use that address so they know you saw it here. userway.org/twit. userway.org/twit. We thank them so much for the support of the Tech Guys show. Now, onward and upward. Well, there's the jolly, jolly sound of Mr. Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek. Joins us every week to talk about big screen, flat screen TVs and big surround sound systems. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
Well, Micah and I are doing really well. I can't fit you and Micah into the TV shot. So those of you watching the video... There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
He's still here. He just doesn't fit in. I need one of those iPhone wide-angle cameras.
Super wide.
So Scott joins us every week to talk about home theater. Of course, he has his own show every week at youtube.com.
Actually, every other week.
Every other week, AVS Forum. Mm-hmm. What's up in your world, Mr. Scotty?
Well, I want to let you know that my interviews from Display Week are now up on youtube.com/AVS Forum. And next week, I am going to have the privilege of talking with none other than video guru Joe Kane, who is among the video people in my industry. He is at the top. He's been there a very long time, really knows his stuff, and we're going to have a fun time talking about the video world according to Joe Kane.
Nice.
So that'll be
fun.
A lot of fun.
Cool.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a really good interview. So be sure to tune in for that Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for the live, and then it'll of course get get posted later. But in the live show, you can post questions on YouTube, comments and questions, and I'll be monitoring them and pass along those that I can. So, and I thought I'd turn a bit to the more real world today. Last week we were talking about the future technologies, and there are even more futuristic technologies that we saw or almost saw at Display Week. I'll talk about those another time. But today I wanted to kind of return to Earth, and I got a email from a listener, Thomas, who wanted to know sort of the difference between first tier and second tier TV brands. And I said, well, okay, the first tier I call Samsung, LG, and Sony. And, you know, you're going to get the best of the best from them. The second tier, I would put into the second tier TCL, Hisense, and Vizio. Although Vizio kind of straddles the line. But those are more value-oriented. They're still excellent performers, really excellent performers. But, you know, they cost less. So those of you who are looking to save a buck, you know, will want to look at TCL, Hisense, and Vizio. In fact, another listener by the name of Anthony said, I have $1,000 for a TV, only $1,000. So many times people say, what TV should I get? And my first question is, well, how much do you have to spend? So this guy, Anthony, was very good and started out by saying exactly what his budget is. That's all I got. I don't got no more. That's it. And he said he's thinking of getting a 65-inch TCL R635, which is their Roku TV. It's got the Roku smart interface. And it's in the 6 series, which I do recommend. And he said, what's your recommendation? And I would say that's an excellent choice. However, when I went to the website Rtings, RTINGS.com, you can look up, they do a great job of TV reviews and comparisons, and they compare the TCL R635 to the Hisense U8G. They're both they're at one penny less than $1,000. So, okay, good. We're in the guy's budget. That's great. And according to Rtings, and I have no reason to doubt them at all, they prefer the Hisense. They say that it has a much better local dimming. These are both LCD TVs, right? So they have a backlight. And they have a full array backlight with local dimming, which is exactly the technology that I strongly recommend. And they say that the Hisense has better local dimming and better black uniformity, which is if you're looking at a star field, right? You're watching an outer space movie. The black uniformity, the uniformity of that black space is much better than it is on the TCL. So I would say if you're going to spend $1,000 or a penny less in this case, not including taxes. So if your budget has to include taxes, then these are slightly more than your budget. I would recommend the Hisense U8G 65-inch is at Best Buy or Amazon, I forget which, $9.99 and 99 cents.
That's an amazing price, really.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
For a 65-inch TV, flat panel TV. Now you can spend less on a 65-inch, no question. You can go down the line in either the TCL or Hisense. TCL has a 5 series and a 4 series and a 3 series. I don't recommend going in the TCL range below the 5 series because then if you go below that, you don't have local dimming.
The only thing I would add, though, is if you were willing to spend a little bit more, I understand if your budget's $1,000, it's $1,000. But for instance, you can get an LG OLED C1 series, which is their 2021 65-inch, for $1,600. It seems to me, wouldn't it be worth the $600?
Well, is that the 65-inch or is that the
65-inch? This is on Amazon. I'm looking on Amazon, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, sure. I mean, if you can up your budget by more than 50%.
Yeah, I guess.
Absolutely.
I feel like people
No question
should
about it.
spend that much. and you and I both agree you shouldn't cut the. Would it be better to cut the size or get the lesser model? In other words, should you get a 50 because you can get a 55-inch LG
C1
G1 for $1,396.
Oh, well, that's even, and a C1 probably for close to $1,000 then.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, at 55 inches. So, which is better?
That's a super tough question.
Cut 10 inches off.
Take 10 inches off, or take 50%.
Yeah.
Or pay 50% more.
Let me see what the 50. The 55 is $1,099.99. So $100 bucks
so
more.
$1,100. Yeah. Depends on your seating distance. If you can sit closer to the TV, then sure, get a 55-inch.
Is OLED that much better than the Hisense LCD?
It is. It is. No question about it.
Yeah.
Because OLED, the local dimming is individual pixels.
Yeah.
It's not zones within the TV.
But you are right to say that don't be, the size is more important than you might think. People might say, well, look, I can get for $800 a 48-inch LG.
Yeah.
But 48 inches, as big as that sounds compared to the old CRT TVs, where a 32-inch TV was monstrous.
Yep. I know. That was my first.
Giant.
My first TV was a 32, and it was like, wow.
Wow, it's so big. Nowadays, you kind of do want big. Like even if you're only 10 feet away, you want 65 or more inches.
That's right.
Yeah.
10 feet away, 65 or more is really ideal. If you want an immersive experience, and that's really what we're talking about in home theater and just video and audio, you want an immersive experience. When you're into a movie, you want to get into the movie.
It's kind of funny because, here we are. I don't know if we're coming out of COVID. We're acting like we are anyway.
Yeah.
So you can go to the theater now, the movie theater. I kind of like the idea of having a home theater that's as good or better than my local movie theater. The popcorn's better. There's no kids in the front row screaming and yelling.
Or behind you kicking your seat.
We were trying to decide if we should see Everything Everywhere all at once in the theaters. It's just leaving now, or just did this week, or wait until it comes out on home. And we decided, you know what? I think we got a nice TV. We got a 75-inch or 77-inch OLED with a good surround system. Let's watch it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's
COVID or not, there's a lot to be said for that. I agree.
You bet.
Scott Wilkinson, youtube.com/AVS forum.
Zonk.
All right. Your turn, my friend.
Thank you so
While
very
Micah
much.
and I go get drunk.
On caffeine.
On caffeine.
Aha.
Now we're talking. Thank you, Loquacious. Always great to see you here. Beatmaster, what about Panasonic? Panasonic, I would call first tier, but they don't sell them in the U.S. So being U.S. centric, I would not include them. But if I was talking about the whole world, then sure, absolutely, Panasonic would be in the first tier, especially their OLEDs. They do sell their OLEDs in the U.S., but only to mastering studios, only to professionals, not to consumers. And Dr. Mom Grandma, yes, I forgot to add in the tax, and I did mention that. I did remember that before the end of my comments there. So you're exactly right. If your budget is exactly $1,000, including tax, then these TVs that I was recommending would not quite work. Let's see. 11 Hearst. 11 hours. I don't know what your screen name is there. Now I can't. Now my feed has jumped around. But anyway, somebody mentioned Amazon, and I didn't mention this in the segment, but there's also a third tier. So first tier, I call Samsung, LG, Sony, Panasonic outside the U.S. Second tier, TCL, Hisense, Vizio. Vizio kind of straddles the line, but they're really a value-oriented brand, and So I personally, I mean, this is nothing official, just me. Then there's the third tier, which I would count as Scepter and what's the other one? I had it in mind just a minute ago. The house brand Insignia from Best Buy. I would call those third tier. And Amazon, where does the new Amazon TVs fall? Second tier or third tier? I would say probably their Omni. I think their Omni is the higher end of the Amazon TVs, which are made by, I don't know who, TCL, Hisense, somebody like that. I'd probably put that in the second tier, and the lower end Amazon I'd put in the third tier. So that's what I have to say about Amazon. Let's see. What else does somebody have to say? Dr. Mom, Grandma Tax. Yes, exactly. Beatmaster. What about Panasonic? Westinghouse, Phoenix Warp 1. Excellent. Excellent. I would also put them in third tier. Westinghouse is a venerable brand from the U.S. over 100 years, probably, roughly.
That's who I want a TV from. Somebody's been making them for 100 years.
I'm sorry. I have to put them in the third tier.
Westinghouse.
Yeah, I know.
The quality goes in. No, that's Zenith. Before the name goes on.
Dr. Mom, Grandma, that third tier, what you put in your guest room when your in-laws are staying with
that's
you.
exactly what I had in the guest room. Exactly. The 32-inch one. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Beatmaster says another brand we forgot, Philips. Yeah, they used to. They're also not
stick around for the top.
Sure, happy to.
We've traded chairs.
We have. Can you tell? I'm sitting a little higher.
Yeah, for some reason now you're taller and I'm shorter. Well, that's the way it is in real life, so I guess that's okay. But
it feels more realistic.
I liked it when I was lording it over you, to be honest with you. Okay. You see how that happens? Gradually, slowly, inch by inch, bit by bit. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, or should I say Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte, your tech guys, on the radio. Harry and Rancho Cucamonga is next. Hello, Harry.
Hello, Leo. Nice talking to you.
Nice to hear from you. What's up?
I read in Consumer Reports that this Samsung Galaxy A53 has a real good rating for a reasonable price. So I went on Amazon and I started to order it, but then I saw A53. And my logic says, well, it's newer.
It's one better.
But I don't think it was. The ratings doesn't really show it was. Anyway, I ordered it. I have very difficulty turning it off. It's a two-man job. I have to hold these two side buttons.
Yeah.
Get a second person to push the down button or the power off button.
All phones are like that now, so you don't turn them off.
You don't?
No. Why are you turning it off?
Well, it's just, at that night, I need to recharge them and save the power.
Yeah, leave it on. It goes into a low power mode and it'll charge just as fast if it's not on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. It's funny. At some point in computers and consumer electronics, we just stopped turning things off. Mm-hmm. You and I are old school, Harry. We go back to the day where do you go around the house turning lights off?
Yeah, I do. I'm 76.
Yeah, we're old school. I do it too. My wife and my kid, lights are on all over the house. And the truth is, they're all now LED lights. Every time I put an LED light in, I think, this is going to last me. This is going to last longer than I am. I'm never have to change this bulb again. And they draw like 7 watts, like nothing. 10 of them draw the same as the old incandescent light bulb. So I guess I probably don't have to go around turning lights off. I still do because it just bothers me somehow.
Well, it's funny you tell me that because I was on the phone for about 3.5 hours with Samsung, and of course they have difficulty understanding English, and difficulty understanding.
You know what they had difficulty understanding? Why do you want to turn it off?
Well, I didn't know until you just now told me.
Why are you turning it off? You don't turn off your microwave oven. You don't turn off your TV anymore. You think you're turning it off. You're just putting it in a low power mode. And phones are meant to stay on. Now, I do have to say, especially Android phones, it is a good idea to at least weekly reboot it. You don't need to turn it all the way off, but you need to get that button up that says restart ? And you tap that and you just reboot it. Like any computer, it's a good idea once in a while to clear out memory and start from scratch. But you do not need to shut it down every night to charge it. Absolutely not.
Thanks for that information. But my second part of my question is, I was going to return it, and I have till June the 7th to return it to Amazon, and I was going to order an A52.
It'll be the same. All phones now have a multi-button push. I think the reason is, again, they figure, well, you're not going to turn it off. There's always the single button that looks like it's an on-off switch, but it's really screen off. And then on the iPhone, what do we have to do?
I think it's volume up, volume down, and then you can hold the side button.
Right.
It's just the way it is nowadays.
Yeah. I wanted to return it because maybe A52 is a better phone.
I'm looking at the differences between the two. I've got a list here, and the A53 is a better phone. Not only are you getting the most recent processor, which I know doesn't mean a whole lot, but the chip is better inside of it, so it's going to run faster, but you're also going to get updates to your system, which are very important, a lot longer. And here's one for you. You're concerned about power. The battery in the A53 is about like 1/8 bigger than the battery in the A52. So you're going to get a lot more juice out of it than you would with the last one. The only reason I would ever tell someone to get the A52 over the A53 is if they regularly plug in headphones, because the A52 has a headphone jack, but the A53 does not.
Okay, that's very valuable information.
So if you do want to turn it off once in a while, it is a little bit more tricky than older phones, but as you know, you hold the side button and the volume down button. And most phones, by the way, this is how it is now, for several seconds. You only need 2 fingers, the side button, the on-off screen button, and the volume down button. Most our phones are settling on this. That works for the iPhone too. Most phones are settling on this now as the way to power off. So you shouldn't need a third finger.
Well, how do you know it does? It'll disturb me at night, or it may ring or have some.
Well, that's a very good question. So that's why you want to set up your do not disturb mode. If you slide down from the right, you'll see in the settings there's a do not disturb setting. You can turn that on, and if you can even go into settings and configure it so that, for instance, only 3 people can get a hold of me in the middle of the night. Maybe you're worried that your daughter might be, stranded and wants to call for a ride home. So you can leave that one on, but turn off everybody else. Or you can set it up that they have to call twice. The first call doesn't go through, and then the second call, if they do it immediately, will go through, signaling urgency, that kind of thing. So there are all sorts of settings. But do not disturb is your friend. That will turn off all sounds, except the one sound you want, which is the alarm clock for the morning, right? You want that.
Right. Hey, before I go, Leo, I've listened to your voice for a couple of decades. I don't know why. I've never seen you, but you remind me of Gene Rayburn, who used to be a game show host. I know Gene. Yeah,
that's high praise. And I'm going to think it's because he was a calm guy. He would stand there with his microphone. They made a special microphone for him. Remember that?
Personable.
Yeah, it was very personable. And the microphone, he'd hold it at his waist, but it had a very long thing, and it would go up to his mouth. And they made that for him so he could just stand there with his hands kind of casually. He was a great guy. You know who knows him well? And I'll ask about him, Dick Debartolo, who's coming up later on the show, our Mad Magazine. He saved the Match Game way back when they were going to cancel the show because it was so boring. And Dick said, well, what if we made them funny questions and kind of sexy questions? And they said, well, we're going to cancel it anyway. Go ahead, try it. And it was such a hit, that show went on for another 30 years. Isn't that a great story? And Gene Rayburn, they would go out to lunch and have, you remember, Harry, the 2 martini lunch? They would have 4 martini lunches. So it was always fun to watch the Match Game on the shows that they taped later in the day.
With Richard Dawson.
Richard Dawson, Charles Nelson Riley. Wasn't that a fun show? I loved that show. Well, that's very high praise. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate it. Yeah. I think, another guy you will remember who's kind of like Gene Rayburn, Of course, I can't remember him, but you'll remember.
Sometime. I remember.
Arthur Godfrey. Remember Arthur Godfrey?
Oh, yeah.
He had that same kind of relaxed, kind of jovial, avuncular style. And I think that I was very much influenced by both of them in my style. So thank you. That's high praise. Thank you. Have a good day, Harry. Yeah, I bet Harry, Dr. Mom says, does Harry shout when the window's open? And I do this, and the AC's on. We're not air conditioning the outdoors.
Yep.
I think, honestly, when I was younger, I didn't do this. I think I'm turning into my father.
That's probably what.
Going around the house, turning off lights.
Even with LED,
it's still a lot of use.
Yeah, I still like to have, if we're not in this space, we don't need to have the lights on.
Why waste energy?
Yeah.
And we have solar panels, so we're just kind of using the sun's energy. But still, why waste energy? Let's, but honestly, I only started doing this at a certain age. And after that, it's
now, you didn't used to leave cabinets open, but now you leave cabinets open, but you do make sure that the lights are turned off.
No, I close the cabinets.
Oh, no.
No.
Okay, you're
my son, our 19-year-old, he leaves everything
he's a cabinet
open.
opener.
Oh, man, he's a cabinet opener. 8888, ask Leo. Micah Sargent, Leo Laporte, your tech guys. We're here. You give us a ring. We'll talk next. Now that I'm sitting a little lower.
I like this. I feel.
Go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you. We've been talking in the chat room a little bit about would the lowest OLED still beat the highest LCD?
Yes.
And the answer is, I think yes.
Yes.
At least in terms of black level uniformity, contrast, and probably color. But not in terms of brightness. Even the best OLED can't beat the worst LCD. Well, maybe the worst, but lowest cost. But LCD clearly has it over OLED in terms of brightness. Oh, and another thing OLED has, even the worst OLED or the least expensive OLED would have over the best LCD is viewing angle. People can watch it from wide, far off axis, whereas with almost all LCDs, no way. Picture looks really washed out and funky if you're off axis. So yes, the answer is yes. Even the least expensive OLED, in my opinion, I would take that over the most expensive LCD. Unless you need a whole heck of a lot of brightness. And if you do, then that's another equation. But if you can control the light in your room, even not completely. I mean, here in our house now in Santa Cruz, which is a rental, we're still shopping for a house to buy, but in the rental, we have the main TV, which is a Sony OLED, in a room that during the day, there's a big skylight in the ceiling, and I can't cover it. So, there's ambient light coming in that room during the day, and the OLED still looks great. So, it's mostly if you've got, blasting sun coming straight into your room that maybe you might want an LCD instead. But in most cases, I would say that OLED's the way to go. Dr. Mom Grandma says, is it worth downsizing the screen to go with OLED over LCD? Now, there's the question we were talking about on the air. How important is size compared to other attributes of the picture? And certainly the bigger the size, the more immersive it is. And so and it depends on how far you are sitting from the screen. If you get a smaller size and can sit closer, then OLED's still the way to go. If you can't sit closer, if you're 10 feet away and the choice is between a 75-inch LCD versus a 65-inch OLED, I'd say get the 65-inch OLED. If it's between a 65-inch LCD and a 55-inch OLED, that's a tougher question. A 55 at 10 feet, 55-inch screen at 10 feet is going to look pretty small. It's not going to be very immersive. That starts to become a judgment call. I would move the seats closer and get an OLED, but maybe you can't. And if you can't, then, especially if you can sit pretty close on axis, if you still have a lot of people sitting way off axis, then I might still say OLED. That's a tougher question, Dr. Mom. Mac Wright, good name, good screen name. Being visually impaired, I sit 1 foot from my 55-inch TV monitor. Well, that makes sense. If you're visually impaired and you need to sit really close, I would definitely get an OLED in that case. Definitely. Because it's not as bright. If you're sitting a foot away, pardon me, if you're sitting only a foot away, well, if you're visually impaired, maybe you need the extra brightness. I don't know. That's a good question. But OLEDs are not dim. That's part of the thing that I want to reiterate over and over. OLEDs are not dim. I mean, you know, the LG OLEDs get up to 700 nits, and an LCD is going to get up to 1,000 to 2,000. So, okay, so there may be half the brightness of an LCD, roughly. But still, 700 nits is plenty bright for most situations. Now, exactly what type of visual impairment do you have? Do you need that extra brightness because of that particular type of impairment? If so, then maybe you do need an LCD. That's a good question. Graveyard Tube asks, which I've always loved that screen name, which has better viewing angle, plasma or OLED? I'd say they're about the same. They both had extremely wide viewing angles, so it's about a wash there. Let's see. Mac Wright says, and that screen is still too small as I have to zoom the screen to read the text at its largest setting. Well, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That does make things difficult on you, for sure. Leonicio says, do you like the M-class Vizios? Yes, I do. I prefer the P-class, which is the higher end. If you can afford a P series.
Well, you know what Walter Cronkite says.
What did he say? Don't
never
pass up any opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't pass up an opportunity to get a P series Vizio either. No, but the M series is fine for saving money in the second tier. The Vizio M series, I think, is perfectly good. Let's see.
The youths are really into short throw projectors these days, Scott.
Yes,
why do you think that is?
Well, it certainly beats out a long throw projector.
You have one?
Yeah. You should go over to Leo sometime.
Come over and see ours, and you can be the judge.
Well, you always end up going to your OLED TV away from the projector.
I know. Well, that's the problem with the projector in general. But it's good for a party. It's good for people because you get it's a 100-inch screen. You know.
Do you have
right there tells you something about choosing a size.
Right.
He's got a 100-inch screen on the short throw, ultra short throw, and he often goes into the 55-inch?
77-inch.
Oh, you got a 77-inch OLED.
Oh, so it's not too different.
Well, it's different enough,
different
and we're also for that one we're sitting real close to it.
Yeah.
So
about 6 inches away.
Yeah, just like that guy. Thank you, Scott. Have a great week.
Sure thing. You too. See you next week.
Bye, Scott.
Bye. I'm getting shorter and shorter. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent here, your tech guys on a Saturday afternoon.
I feel so energized.
It's great. Hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show. 8888 Ask Leo. There's a phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you'd like to talk high tech. We're here for you. That's our job. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. The website, and Micah's, as we go, he's tossing links in right and left. It's techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. And when you get there, you'll see all the previous Tech Guy shows. We put audio and video from every show there after the show. But we also, and it takes a little longer, maybe over the next couple of days, we'll have links to everything we mention on the show, plus a transcript of the show. So you can, search for something and go right to that part of the video or the audio. All you have to do is go to for this show, 1895. We're going to be in the 20th century pretty soon.
Holy moly.
Holy mackerel. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. And on the line right now, it's Trevor. Oh, our good friend, Trevor from Burnaby, California. How's it going, Mac Wright? Let's see. Did I push the wrong button? Here, speak to me. Speak to me, Trevor. Talk to me, my friend. Unmute. He's always, for some reason, Trevor's always trying new microphone technologies. Jason, College Station, Texas. Hi, Jason. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. This is Jason, long-time listener, second-time caller.
Welcome back.
Appreciate it. My situation's a little unusual. I have optical migraines, and I don't get headaches. It gives me fatigue or my neck tightens up.
Yeah.
And I have other symptoms. And I have noticed when I see 4K TVs, they bother my brain. I can't explain it. I wanted to see, I have a 10-year-old 1080 TV, and I like that. Can you still, I have two questions, but the first one was, can you still buy name brand 1080p TVs?
Let's get to
4K just doesn't work for
Thank God Scott has not left. He's still here. Before we go on, though, are you photosensitive?
Yes.
You are. Okay, Jason. So flickering lights can bother you, and I think that's what you're seeing on these TVs. There is a flicker, not to OLEDs, not to direct view TVs. They weren't. The old tube TVs did not flicker. Plasma does not flicker, but LCDs, am I right, Scott? LCDs have a flicker, have a refresh rate.
Yeah, they do have a refresh. All TVs have a refresh rate.
Yeah, but if it's direct view screen, the refresh rate is just sending additional charge to that pixel. So the pixel might slowly dim and then brighten and dim and then brighten. I guess that could be perceived as a flicker. But there's actual shuttering on LCDs, right?
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying
LCDs and OLEDs both operate on what's called sample and hold, which is that each frame is held on to the screen for the duration of the frame, and then the next frame comes up.
Yeah.
So, if it's refreshing at 60 or 120 hertz, that'd be an interesting experiment to see if a 60 hertz TV affects the caller more than a 120 hertz TV or vice versa.
Yeah, you might be more sensitive to different refresh rates. I'm thinking, though, Jason, it might be worth going down to the store, seeing if OLED TVs bother you. They may not. What the TVs you're probably looking at are all LCDs.
The one thing with OLED that bothers me, the same with the computers, I don't like the reflective screen. It bothers me too.
I understand that.
The LCD has more of a matte screen, so that's But I don't have this with the 1080p TVs, and I didn't know if you could still buy those anymore.
You can still buy 1080p TVs, but they're at the very bottom of the manufacturer's lineup.
They're the cheap ones?
They're the cheap ones and the small ones.
Okay, because I only have a 40-inch now because I know y'all always talk about giant screens, but my parents have like a 70-inch TV. It's too bright for me. It hurts my eyes just to look at it.
So it may not be the flickering, it may just be the brightness.
The brightness, in which case an OLED would be better than an LCD.
Because they are a little dimmer. And you can turn them down, can't you, Scott? Can you?
Yes, absolutely.
You can reduce the brightness. Now, you probably don't want to do that to your folks' TV because then you're going to be in a constant battle. But if you can get one of your own, Jason, you could definitely dim it. If it's See, that's the question: is what is it that's causing the migraine? Is it the flickering or is it the brightness? And everybody's different. My daughter got severe migraines. We only found out after a while from LED light bulbs. because they also flicker. And it was, in fact, it was the flickering, I believe. And she is not bothered by incandescent bulbs or even fluorescents, which flicker also. I guess it's the frequency.
Especially depending on how you're powering LED lights. Yeah. For some reason, they can do some really
She used to work in a grocery store that had these big bright LED lights. And finally had to quit because she was getting the migraines. They stopped immediately.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think, Jason, finding out what the environmental impacts are, what are the things that are doing, will help you figure out, what kind of TV you can get.
On Amazon, I found a TCL 40-inch 1080p. It's the 40S325 for $150.
Wow. Okay. My second question relates to the same issue. I have a 5-year-old HP laptop, and I'm kind of stuck with it. And it's interesting. I bought my son one before, and I liked it, and I got me one. So I've actually bought my whole laptop back from him. I have tried new computers, and I've tried matte screens. I've tried other HPs. I actually got stuck with, at Best Buy, I wasn't allowed to return any more computers because I returned like 4.
I think you have a good reason, though. You're looking for something that's not going to give you a migraine.
And my neck, just setting it up in Windows, my neck tightens up and my shoulders tighten up. And I don't know if you had ever heard of that before. I heard an old episode where someone called in with a sort of similar thing, but I don't know what to do. I can't buy a new computer.
Yeah. I wonder what they're doing now that's different. The technology's changed, too. It may be that the old TFT LCD screens didn't bother you, but the new IPS screens, IPS is a kind of switching, and it might have to do with the flickering. That's interesting. I don't know but they definitely have changed. It would be interesting to figure out.
Yeah, if we knew what the old HP devices that you had.
Do you know the model number?
Yeah. It's the Star Wars HP laptop with 6 gigabytes. If you Google it, you could find the model number because I've looked it up to get information on more memory and stuff. But it's
HP Pavilion 15 series.
Correct, and it was.
So we're going to look up the screen type and see what the screen type is. Resolution, refresh rate. It's so funny because. Clearly there's something going on with displays that's triggering this. And the problem is I don't know if they reveal enough about the manufacturing process and how the displays work that you would be able to tell. This is a little explored area.
15.6-inch diagonal full HD bright view IPS WLED backlit display.
Yeah. And this one is a full HD, so it's a 1080p, so...
Yes.
It's not. So that's the one that does not bother you.
Correct.
And newer, higher resolution. Maybe what could happen, Scott? Do you think with a higher resolution display?
Boy, that I don't know. I'm thinking it's more regarding refresh rate.
Refresh rate or brightness.
Or brightness.
And certainly the newer displays are much brighter. But all of that you can turn down. The brightness, you don't have to. In fact, it's often been said people look at their computer screens and have them set way too brightly.
Right.
The problem is we get used to that. Same thing with a TV. Right. We get used to that.
In a TV, there's a backlight control. On an LCD TV, there's a backlight control that you can turn down, and that just turns down the overall brightness of the TV from it moves the entire range up and down.
Yeah.
So, I just turn that down.
So it's a question of where do you attack this? I would consider both refresh rate and brightness to be potentially factors. And your doctor may also have some suggestions. We took Abby to a very good neurologist who was really, really helpful. In fact, helped us track down
super thorough.
And that's the thing. You got to be very, very thorough. The only drawback to that was she said, "Well, do your parents have migraines?" And I was there. I said, "No, I don't." She said, but then Abby said, "Well, you do get those headaches?" I said, "Well, oh." She said, "Oh yeah, you get migraines." The doctor diagnosed me. So there you go. There you go. Mine are stress related, and because you're here, I haven't had a headache in years.
Bless.
You just relax me. 8888 Ask Leo. Thank you, Scott, for pitching in. I don't know if we've helped much, Jason, but there's some ideas. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, your tech guys. Johnny Jet, travel guru, coming up in about 15.
So.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
So
Happy to help.
serendipitous.
That's really interesting question.
Yeah.
I know. I want to find the neurologist to figure it out.
And that's the problem is there's so many different reasons it could be triggering that,
Yeah, exactly right. I don't think it's resolution. I honestly don't.
Not how it's not the 4K versus 1080p. It's something
I think it's
else.
brightness, and I think it's refresh rate.
But I don't. But at the same time, Jason, if you say no, look, 1080p screens don't bother me. I mean that's
your experience.
It's your experience that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's eye strain, Jason? Maybe.
I don't think so. In fact, I've been to so many. I've seen 20 doctors over this. It took a while for me to figure out it's a migraine. No one has helped me, and they just throw more medicine at you.
Yeah,
and
that's not the solution.
And I've spent $20,000 over 4 years.
No.
I'm just tired of dealing with it, and I'm kind of stuck where I can't buy a new computer. So,
well, you certainly can get a computer that's 1080p. That's easy.
I did that. I still had to return them.
Really?
Wow. So for some reason, this one Star Wars laptop that you got did not cause the issue for you.
Correct. And I got my son's the same exact model, and I ordered him a new one, and I called HP. And you saw they don't really get very detailed.
You don't know. There's something they're doing. Hey, I'm going to suggest one other thing that's really out of the left field, but somebody in the chat room mentioned it. I got my optometrist to give me computer glasses, and they have blue blockers built in, so they filter against the blue light. There's a lot of blue light coming through these screens, maybe more now than ever, and they do slight magnification. And it really helps me with eye strain when I use the computer. I wear these religiously now when I'm sitting on the desktop. So you might look at, there are a couple of companies, Felix Gray makes them, a couple of companies that make these, or if you wear glasses, all I did is I said, well, you make me a new pair of glasses. Can you make me some computer glasses? They have a slightly higher magnification. They have the blue blocker, and she was able to do that. Same prescription, just up the diopter. And that really has helped a lot. So that's another thing maybe to look into.
Yeah, I've tried that already, and
never mind.
Blue light filter on the computer and on my phone helps a lot. But
okay.
But I also wanted to thank you. I had a neck injury recently that turned all my migraine symptoms up like 20 times worse, and I couldn't focus on what I was seeing for about a month and a half. But I could listen.
Thank
and
God.
Focus mentally. So I actually have been listening to the past 2 years of your Tech Guy shows while I was sitting there to give me something to focus on while I was recovering. So I appreciate that.
My pleasure, Jason. I'm glad we could be there for you. I'm going to keep my ears to the ground, and I hope you do too. And if you find something, let us know. I bet there are other people out there. And you're right. I mean, we felt very lucky that we finally found a neurologist after a lot of looking that was able to kind of track it down and help Abby. It's a horrible thing. And, she didn't have headache pain. That's why we weren't sure it was a migraine, but very similar to your, she'd get very weak. She'd kind of just be very weak. So in a variety of other things. And the neurologist said, oh, yeah, it's not always head pain. There's a variety of results. So, yeah, I'm glad you were able to at least get some diagnostics.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hey, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, Jason. And and thank you too, Scott, once again.
Sure, no problem. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
F-Lux is good. F.Lux. But I feel like a glass is an optical solution is going to be better than whatever you could do by changing the color of the screen. I don't know. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, your tech guys answering the calls, talking high tech. Let's try Trevor one more time. Hi, Trevor.
Hi, I'm from Burnaby, not California.
Oh, yeah.
So this is more comments about.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, she said that.
Yeah.
Kim. Anyways. Yeah, I've been doing some more thinking and looking, and I looked at Calling Studio, and it's a really expensive solution.
So let me explain, because we're coming in the middle of the conversation. Trevor's disabled. He wants to do a podcast for and about disabilities, which is great. Want to encourage you to do that. He wants to do it like a talk show, like a radio call-in show. And so he's looking for solutions, podcast style, laptop style solutions. You've obviously got the microphone worked out. You sound great. But now you want to be able to take calls. And we were talking about call-in studio. How much is it?
It's worse than I thought. Got your calculator there?
Okay.
So you have your host line. That's 3 cents.
A minute.
Every guest you have on. Yeah. You have 3 cents.
Yep.
Each screener is 3 cents.
Oh, that's crazy.
Each caller on hold is 6 cents. So
no, forget it.
You have, say, 5. I know. I looked at it for even
it adds
1
up.
hour a day.
Yeah.
It was $158.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked into Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah.
And that was pay $50 a month, but you're limited to 1 hour a day. You go over that, the show stops. So right now I have 2 Ring Central line, but I need a programmer. This is why we need to reach out to the community, because Ring Central says, oh, yeah, just do our suggestion box. But no,
they're all going to be this expensive. This is, 3 cents a minute is, they're just all going to be that expensive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Now with Ring Central, I can have them just put the call into a call park.
Yeah.
And then pick up on my line. That's fine. But what would be nice is if they have feature suggestions, but know what? No one knows about it who's a Ring Central user.
Honestly, Trevor, I think really the thing to do is to kind of rethink your plans, and instead of having a bunch of call-ins, maybe have guests. I'm trying to think. Are there a lot of call-in podcasts? I think most podcasts, it's a host and a guest.
There's going to be a live show Monday to Friday, like 3 to 4 hours, however long I feel like. But I want to get regular people to be interviewed, like that guy you had on previously.
Yeah.
Because just so that the normal people, like, they're being interviewed.
Here's another thought. I don't know what they have in Burnaby, but you might check with in the States, we have public access television. This is, I don't know if the CRTC does this or not, but we have every town that has a cable company also has, and the cable company pays for it, public access television. I wonder if there's public radio. I bet there is in Canada. Goodness knows you guys have a much more robust public broadcasting system. See if, because that's what you really need, is the facilities of a radio station to do that.
I have everything I need right now. I just have to figure out how I'm going to get. Well,
you don't though. You need the calls. You need the calls. And we mentioned TalkShoe before. You decided TalkShoe wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, but but as many as calling to say these services they're really expensive, and the solution is I'm just going to use Ring Central, but their suggestion box, they say, people just say, we could get this to work with Ring Central and save thousands of dollars. So, people need to actually go into their communities tab, click on make a suggestion, and then vote on them. And that's what people don't do with Ring Central. So we don't get the good features that everyone else has.
So you're saying go vote on Ring Central.
Yeah, you have to be a Ring Central user. You go into support panel, then the community tab.
Well, I'll vote because we're a Ring Central. We use Ring Central for our business phone system, so I will cast a vote.
How do I sound today? Because I'm calling through Ring Central right now.
I was going to say, you sound better than you've ever sounded before. You sound like you're right, doesn't he? He sounds like he's right here.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
You're using a good microphone. You're using a mixer, and now you're using Ring Central for the voice over IP, and it sounds fantastic. Sounds as good as anything. So I think you've licked that part of it. Now you just have to figure out how to take calls.
Well, yeah. The other thing is I have to find a call screener that's not going to cost me money, because I'm not allowed to own a business on disability. every penny I make.
Isn't that rotten?
They're going to monitor.
It's so rotten. If you're on disability, you can't get off disability because they'd kick you off. Yeah, well,
$1,000 a year.
Volunteers are a great thing for this kind of thing, and I just encourage you. Are you a member of various communities online, forums, and things like that? That's the place to go to ask those questions. The good news is, Discord now is another big one. The good news is there are a lot of online communities for almost any interest. And I am sure there are many disability forums. I would go to them, Trevor. I'm sure you could find a volunteers aren't going to be hard, I don't think, for you to find. Just keep us up to date on how it's working, how it's going for you. I'm glad that you were able to kind of figure out the audio problems anyway.
Oh, and a tip for you: you can actually use your your VX Telso can actually connect right into Ring Central too.
So that's the audio system we use from Telos. We use an Axia audio system here in the studio, and probably that's what we're doing. We're not using Ring Central, but we are connected directly using a Telos VX handset into the. So I think we're doing that. I don't think we're using Ring Central. We're using a different voice over IP system, but that's exactly.
But Ring Central does have apps. Also, main app developer out there could develop a call-in show.
Sure, they have an API.
You have that interface.
So you're saying that they don't have that per minute charge, huh?
No, it's my plan. I'm on the premium. You're probably on the premium too. It comes with 2,500 minutes of long.
Nice.
Call it of 800 minutes.
Trevor, I'm running out of time. I appreciate it. Congratulations. You're doing it. You're doing it. Mm-hmm. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, Johnny Jett coming up. My friends, he's been everywhere, man. He's our traveling guru, Jonathan Livingston Jett, the star of the show. He's at johnnyjett.com. His newsletters are there. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram, and he's here right now. Hello, Johnny.
Hello. You ever see Stripes where he says, "Don't call me Francis"?
Yes. Jonathan Livingston
Don't call
Jett.
me Jonathan.
How about
either John or Johnny?
John or Johnny. Okay. No Jack. Jack's your son. We can't call you Jack. That'd be confusing. No. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I wrote a post this week. I was actually my nephew was graduating from NYU.
Congrats!
And guess who was a commencement speaker?
I don't know.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, Tay-Tay.
So
sure.
I read her transcript and I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my God, there's such a brilliant tip in there about travel. I quickly wrote a post. Google picked it up. I had the most traffic I've ever had to my website in a day.
What?
And yes,
all because of Taylor Swift.
Yes, I have to thank her.
She's powerful.
Very.
She is like amazing.
So in her speech, she said, she's talking about how, it's really not that glamorous being on the road, but in reality, it consisted of a rent-a-car, motels, and my mom and I pretending to have a loud mother and daughter fights with each other during boarding, so no one would sit next to us on an empty Southwest flight.
Oh, you're kidding.
And I was like,
does Taylor Swift do that?
Well, this is when she was making it.
Young.
Now she's flying private all around the world.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't,
But I'm sure she spent a lot of time on commercial airlines, especially Southwest, because she's from Tennessee, and they have a big, not a hub, but they have a lot of service from there. But anyway, so I wrote a tip on, tips for flying. I wrote a post on tips for flying Southwest, and I got so many comments, but a lot of them are, check in as soon as possible. I'm talking set your alarm
24
hours 24
and 5 minutes.
Exactly,
yeah.
And no, 24 hours and 5 minutes.
So that you're ready at 24 hours to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to click it right then. I'm talking, it's like a time bomb.
Because everybody else is doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you really want to get it in those first minute or two.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Anyway, or you can pay extra and get that business select fare, which is supposed to guarantee it up to a boarding number 15, but that's not always happening. And actually, there were a lot of people complaining in the comment section that I really can't believe people do this, but they pretend that they are in a wheelchair, so they get wheeled on before everybody, and then they say they fight to get off. They just walk right off. It's like a miracle flight.
I'm healed. That's terrible. That's not good.
That karma's gonna catch up to you.
Instant karma gonna get you. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
but also when you do check in, be on time at the gate so you don't miss your spot. And, if it's two people flying, I recommend splitting up, and this is what Taylor obviously did. She, one of them took the window, one took the aisle, and go to the back of the plane because everyone wants to be in the front of the plane. Go in the back, you have the least chance of someone sitting next to you. But these days, flights are going out full. So you got to first ask the gate agent, is a plane full or not? And if it's not, then you have a shot. But one person, people pretend they fight. I know someone who actually puts a Kleenex box on their lap and puts dirty tissues in the middle seat.
Oh, that's so rude.
And I was like, you know what? That's probably going to get you kicked. That's going to get you kicked off the plane because they're going to think you have COVID.
That's just mean.
It is. But so anyway, and then also one person gave me a good tip. They said they look for the biggest person possible sitting in a seat they board last, and they go sit next to them because they don't think anyone's going to sit in the middle seat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are some tips.
I love Southwest. I always fly Southwest. I really like it.
What I like about Southwest is that they give you 2 free check bags and they don't charge change fees. I mean, the other airlines don't now because of COVID, but they've been doing it for the change fees part. They've been doing it for ever, or as long as they've been around, 68. Actually, I won a contest. This is their old boarding passes. I have a whole slew of them. This is what they used to hand people. Now it's all paper or digital.
Oh, I remember that. The plastic with your number on it. Yeah.
So anyway, that's my Southwest tip and basically my Taylor.
See, I would never fly Spirit or any of the real budget airlines because they charge for everything and the seat pitch is so narrow. But Southwest it's their nice planes, they're comfortable seats. The only thing that's a little weird is you don't get assigned seats, and that's why you all these little tricks so that you get a decent seat. But Lisa and I will fly Southwest, if it's available. That's because they're affordable.
Definitely. And the flight attendants have always been funny and friendly.
Oh, gosh, they're famous for that. We had a Southwest flight attendant in here, and she said, I'm famous for my pretzel crowns. I said, what? She said, when I want to reward a passenger for excellent behavior or something, I'll make a crown out of the pretzel packets and toothpicks. And she sent me one. I have it here somewhere. I have a Southwest Airlines pretzel crown.
They're amazing. They really are.
You know what? When I see people having fun at work like that, I figure this must be a good place to work. Like they're getting paid okay. They're getting treated well. I hope that's the case.
For sure.
Yeah.
I do have one more tip. Do we have time?
Sure.
So everyone's talking about international travel testing to get back into the U.S. That's still in effect. If you're 2 years or older, you need to prove a negative test.
Does it have to be a PCR test? Can it be a quick?
No. It can be quick, but it can't be the home test they send you because it needs to be proctored.
Right.
So there's
you have to get on Zoom with a guy, and he watches you swab your nose and all of that.
So I was doing some research, and a company, because we're going to Canada, and we need to get a test to get back in. I think by the time we get back, which is in July, I think it'll be gone. But
you think they're going to drop it?
I do think they're going to drop it. We'll see. We'll see. It should be by July. But anyway, I'm prepared. So there's a company called eMed, and then med.com, and they you can order them 10 days in advance just to guarantee you'll have them. You pack them, you bring them with you, and then when it's time, you do not open the box. You can open the package they come in, but you cannot open the box because you have to have you're going to go on with a live agent. And what's great about these guys is you don't need an appointment. You can just on demand. They look at it, they scan your QR code, and they watch you open the box. Then they watch you take the test. And then in 15 minutes, I think you call back and then you do it again. And they show you the results, or you show them the results. And then they'll send you a live.
How much does it cost?
They're I think it's $69 for 2.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not. Bad. What's great about these is that, I've heard horror stories where people are traveling internationally.
You can't get a test.
It's a holiday.
Yeah.
They can't find a test, or they got to show up to the airport really early and there's long lines. And this is, you can just do it from your hotel room. Or your rental or your friend's house.
So is this on your website, or you want to give it out?
It is. I'll put it on Twitter. it's on my homepage right now. And
JohnnyJet.com.
I also put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Or the chat room.
So if you're planning some international travel, just know, until they lift that reg, and they'll do that later in the summer, but it's still in effect, you're going to have to test before you come home. This is a good way to do it. Seems like a good idea to bring and you can bring these with you, right?
Definitely pack them with you, but just don't open it until you're with a live agent, and it says it right on the box.
Right.
But if you're not traveling to August, I would wait just to see if they drop it or not. Wait, 2 weeks before, then order them.
Now I wonder, we're going on this cruise to Alaska, and because it's a cruise line that's I don't know, it's flagged in the Bahamas or somewhere. The rules are that if you have to go to at least one international port on each trip, right? So they always stop all the Alaska cruises, stop in Victoria, British Columbia, and that's their international port. Do you think that means at that point that I'm going to have to get a test to come back?
No, because it's only for air travel.
Oh.
To get back into the U.S. You can drive across Canada or Mexico or take a boat.
Now, I was thinking of bringing my monkey with me. Do you think that'll be a problem at all?
That is a problem.
Does he have to get a COVID?
And actually, double check about the cruise. I know for sure it's air, and driving you don't need one.
I'll ask.
But I don't think for the
Holland
cruise.
America.
Just double check.
Yeah, we'll just double check.
Just tweet it. What is it? You can tweet it.
Ask TSA.
Yeah,
ask TSA.
But TSA is different. TSA security.
Oh,
it's a different thing.
That's true.
I'll ask them about the monkey. They'll probably
CBP.
know about what to do with Bubbles.
If you have Bubbles a monkey, you're definitely gonna get stopped.
Johnny Jet, but he doesn't have anything. But JohnnyJet.com.
They're gonna check him out.
JohnnyJet.com. Go there, get the address of this place to get these tests, get his newsletters. They're free. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter and join him and us here every week. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
You're on the 8 Ball. So everybody's well?
All well. Gosh, I mean, this past week we're all recovering, and it's been 2 weeks since we were sick.
Wow.
And but we're all feeling good right now, so thank goodness.
Wow.
3 days ago, I was like, I'm not sure. My daughter's still sniffling, but all done.
Good. Yay.
Yes. So fingers crossed, all goes smooth.
All right. Well, stay well, stay healthy, have fun. So how long are you going to be gone for?
Just 7 weeks.
Just 7 weeks. I'm so jealous. Just 7 weeks.
But I'll be Skyping in every week.
You will. Okay. If you can, and don't feel like you have to. If you,
I listen. I love to.
I know.
First of all, it's, I get traffic to the website. I get to talk to you and Micah, and I most importantly, I get to share my advice and knowledge so people travel better, cheaper, and smoother.
We appreciate it. We're back to traveling, which is such good news.
We are.
Such good news. I can't wait.
2.3 million people went through TSA the last 2 days, yesterday and today. But,
wow. But
in 2019, the same day today, it was 2.7 or close to 2.7.
Oh,
so
wow.
we still are a little bit, but we're definitely, more and more people are traveling, and it's getting more and more expensive. So
that I know. Holy cow. It's really expensive.
Did you book your flights, by the way, to Alaska?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my.
No, we did. No,
Thank you.
We're not flying.
Like,
we're going
what?
to Seattle. But we did it a long time ago. And it was cheap. It was like $253 from Santa Rosa.
I'd like you to price it out right now and tell me what it is.
Oh, yeah. You think it's a lot more?
Yep.
But see, it's Santa Rosa to a Seattle.
Yeah, you're lucky on that. But I'm curious.
Let me see. Santa Rosa.
I should be looking
to Seattle flights. Well, Google does it, right? Automatically. Here we go. Let's see. Round trip. Yep. We're going to be leaving. Let's pick time frame that's the same, right? July 13th. Coming back. July 23rd. Done.
So no show then.
That's unknown.
Okay. You keep me posted.
No, prices are still cheap.
Are they?
$298 round trip is the
How about
cheapest.
SFO?
Oh, I'm sure those are going up. It's because it's the
Santa Rosa.
It's Santa Rosa. It's cheap.
That's great.
I know, and it's fast.
I'm glad
it's
to hear
easy.
that.
It's a jet. No, they're still pretty cheap from SFO too.
Okay.
You know what's nice on this? They now tell you how many kilograms of CO2.
Yes, they do.
You're going to be using.
They do.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, we'll talk about it next week. Google just came out with some new updates.
Yeah, good for you, Google.
I'll make a note.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. Because then we buy offsets. We go to TerraPass or somewhere and we We get
But
offsets.
they did some more stuff too for travel.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, they're good.
I got to write that post. I got to work on it. I saw their press release.
Yeah. All right, John.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Drinking black coffee makes you want better coffee.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. I'm here with Micah Sargent, Tech Guy 2, for hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show. And Brian is next in Mission Viejo, California. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Leo. So I got a new car. Came with wireless CarPlay. I was all excited. It just worked right off the bat. And, over time, started cutting out, would completely disconnect. I mean, I'd have the phone within, an inch of the screen. And just the most horrible connection.
That happens to me. I have wireless CarPlay as well on my Mustang Mach-E, and that happens from time to time as well, where it just kind of gets blah, 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 blah. And I wonder what is causing that. Wireless CarPlay uses Wi-Fi. The car becomes a Wi-Fi access point that your phone joins, transparently. Have you tried plugging it in? I presume you could also use a lightning cable or whatever to do that as well, right?
Yeah, I've plugged it in. I had the car switched out for one reason or another, and the new car, same problem. My wife's phone, same thing. Doesn't matter which phone it is.
Is it an iPhone or an Android phone?
Both iPhones, both up to date. I know. Yeah, the radio's up to date.
Do the cutouts appear randomly, or
totally
are they
random?
Okay.
I mean.
The reason I'm asking is because some people have an issue around tolls. When the toll is looking for the little meter inside of your car.
The RF breaks it up.
It can end up messing with it. I assume you're not microwaving anything in your car. I kid.
No.
Don't do that. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not the only one with this problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Wireless CarPlay is a cool thing when it works. It's a really cool thing when it works. But if it doesn't work, not such a cool thing. That is always the fallback, is to do wired CarPlay. And then you wouldn't have to use wireless technology to do it. You could just, it'll use USB.
What kind of car did you say?
Jeep Wagoneer.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder what other things, it's funny, you found a really good trick last week, somebody who had very slow Wi-Fi, and turning off Apple's iCloud Relay fixed the speed. I wonder if it might also be related to this. So the private relay, which is a feature Apple added, and I think is on by default, I believe now, is something you can turn off in the iCloud settings. And I would try that. I think you want to try messing with your iCloud settings is, I guess, the answer to that one. And I think this is not unusual. Here's a whole thread. Thank you, Scooter X, from Wagoneer fans on wireless CarPlay and Bluetooth issues. We'll put a link to the show notes for that. Do they have any good suggestions?
There's one. They say to reset restart the radio, which can sometimes kind of fix things. Also going into your settings and checking both your Bluetooth settings, because that's often the first pair that happens before the Wi-Fi connection takes place, and tapping the little I and completely removing your Wagoneer from the Bluetooth settings. So essentially restarting the CarPlay pairing process, because sometimes there can be a firmware update or some other update that ends up kind of messing up the connection so that it is happening sometimes and sometimes it's cutting out as you're experiencing. So a complete restart of those, which I wouldn't be surprised if you've tried that, but if you haven't, check both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I've tried all that.
Okay.
I haven't done the relay test. That's an interesting one, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, because of the car systems, how each of them is individually set up, it's hard to tell where that might be interfering with what you're doing. And so you end up having to kind of figure out what you can do, what you can get access to. So you did the restart radio option?
Yep. I mean, reset all my settings, reset the radio, repaired it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would try
It always comes back.
the iCloud Relay option just to make sure that that is toggled off. Depending on where you're looking, you can do it for individual networks. So you would launch the Settings app on your iPhone, you'd tap on Wi-Fi, you would tap the eye icon for info next to the Wi-Fi network, and then make sure that the setting called Limit IP Address Tracking is toggled off and not toggled on. That will turn it off for that individual Wi-Fi setting.
So they don't call it iCloud Private Relay, just limit tracking.
Limit tracking is what they call it.
It's worth a try. I mean, this is just, it could be so many things, you know. Once you know, okay, it's some sort of weird infrastructure Wi-Fi hack was what wireless CarPlay is, then you can start messing with your Wi-Fi and seeing, you know, what changes it. Maybe if it's in a case, take it out of the case, see what changes it. It happens to me completely intermittently, completely unpredictably. It often, if I, you know, stop, get out, get back in, and start up again, it's gone. I feel like there's some buffering that goes on that cause. What does it sound like when it's not working? Is it choppy?
It's choppy, or it literally just the phone just completely disconnects from the radio.
Yeah,
and it'll just keep trying.
I have that too, by the way. From time to time, I'll get in and there's no CarPlay. Then you know, the fix is to stop the car, turn it all the way off, turn it all the way on again. These are computers. And it's, you know, I think maybe wasn't really ready for prime time. I don't know.
Yeah, someone just in April of this year said that the radio reset fix was temporary, and that anyone who has a Chrysler vehicle with wireless CarPlay is having trouble getting it to work.
Interesting.
You may check if there's a firmware update as well. On April 5th, someone posted about a firmware update for their Wagoneer and were able to install that. They had to go to their dealer to get it installed, but upon doing so, that did seem to fix the problem for them. Some other people, though, it did not fix the problem for them.
Wow.
So,
wow.
This seems like it's a Wagoneer issue.
It's a Wagoneer thing. You just wouldn't understand. Well, I'm glad you called. This is where the internet is really a useful tool to see if others have a similar problem. Although I should...
Speaking of cars...
Yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of cars, I called you a couple of years ago asking if, everyone's trying to figure out what Apple's doing with their car division, and I was kind of curious if they were making like an iPhone, if it's possible for the iPhone to help drive a car. And... obviously, you were skeptical.
It's getting smarter, though. It might be.
Well, now there's a company, AI.
Yes.
It's not an iPhone. It's an Android.
It's
but
very
I've got
impressive.
it in my windshield.
Yeah. You use it?
My car, yeah.
It's
all
pretty.
the time.
It's pretty reliable.
I have it on my 2015 Chrysler 200 because it's open source. Someone helped me make the firmware, and I mean, I could drive as long as I want, hands-free. It's perfect.
Wow. And so it uses the camera from the phone? Is that all it's using?
Yeah, reads the lane lines.
I've been reading about AI, but I had no idea. I didn't know anybody who'd used it. I'm very impressed. Wow.
It's a huge crowd. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the guy started it was the guy that hacked the PlayStation.
Yeah, it was Hotz, George Hotz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really cool.
Compatible with 150 plus vehicles.
So you have to modify the firmware in your vehicle to do it. Is that right?
If your car is not, if Comma has not already created software for your model, then you can. If you have the time to do it, you can make your car work usually. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Wow. And you paid, it's $2,000. You bought it.
Well, no, I got the first edition.
You got the open source one. Wow.
$700 or $800.
Very cool. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent. We're going to get a self-driving radio show someday, and then watch out. More tech guy coming up.
I think they figured that out a while back.
What? Oh, that's really, really neat. I didn't realize it had come so far. That's really good. Wow. You're the first person I've talked to who's actually used it, Brian. So you spent $800, and what did you get for the $800?
You get obviously now it's more expensive, but this was a couple of years ago. I got the phone preloaded with the.
Oh, so it's so you use a dedicated phone to do it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a 3D printed case on it that helps it mount to the windshield.
Do you get automatic updates even though you got it early? In other words, are you up to version 3?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because the phone that the version of the phone I got is I think that was an alpha build.
Right.
Now they're kind of in the beta, and eventually I think they're going to hit the official version 1.0, and that, I guess that's supposed to do everything.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I've kind of been reading about him and the company, but wow, I didn't realize that it was that usable. I thought, this is kind of a hackery thing to do. So you'll let it drive. Is it only freeways, or is it on city streets as well?
No, it's stop and go. I put it in my wife's Volkswagen Atlas when she had the Atlas, and that had stop and go. My Chrysler 200 has some kind of funky steering thing where it shuts off at a low speed. So I can't do stop and go in my car. But, it is unbelievable at reading lane lines. It'll never, throw me into the next lane or any of that. It's
so if your car comes without which many cars now have adaptive cruise control and the lane centering, but if it didn't, you could use this, and it watches your face too, right? It's keeping an eye on because you don't have to keep your hands on the steering wheel.
No, but you do need adaptive cruise control and lane. Lane centering.
It has to be built into the car.
Yes,
I see. So this controls that. But you already have to have those features.
Yeah, this basically makes the steering full hands off.
The thing that it's doing is the steering. Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fast. And it does automated lane changing? Wow. Yeah, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant hacker. This guy's very impressive. And I've been watching the progress and thinking, well, this is nuts. But no, it's working now. It's working as well as a Tesla does.
I was going to buy a GM with Super Cruise, but everybody wants a monthly fee, and this is I've got it forever.
I'm still waiting for my Blue Cruise on my Mach-E. I don't think I want to hack my car, but that's very cool. You're the first one I've talked to who's actually used it, Brian. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, have a good one. Take care. Fascinating. I've never met anybody who uses it. I have to ask Sam about that tomorrow. Comma AI. California was pissed. I said, you can't be doing that without a license. Okay.
Do you want to do userway?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Confirming System 76 laptop, right? Somebody was asking in the chat.
That's what this is, but it's getting replaced by a Dell. Framework's at home.
Got it.
Oh, that's a good story. Framework has vindicated my belief in them. I can now upgrade it to 12th generation Intel.
Nice.
They actually they're actually selling and shipping a motherboard upgrade.
Sweet.
And since they upgraded to make this less flexible, the top of the case, you can also buy that and replace the top of the case.
That's really neat.
I am blown away.
Fully.
Yeah.
Upgradable. That's awesome.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here and Micah Sargent, the tech guys. We're taking your calls and talking high tech. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. Our last caller was talking about the Apple Car thing and how I said, well, it will never be the iPhone driving you. And, it probably will be something like the iPhone. Yeah. Apple has plowed a lot of money into what they call Project Titan, an Apple car. And I'm skeptical. I just interviewed, as you know, the author of After Steve, a new book about Apple after Steve Jobs' passing, and mostly about Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, their CEO and designer, Trip Mickle. It was a great interview, but one of the things he found out was the whole Apple Car project wasn't from the top down. It wasn't something the executives thought up and said, go do it. Engineers came to Tim Cook and said, look, Tesla's doing really interesting stuff. We're all going to go to work for Tesla unless you do a car. And they basically blackmailed Apple into a car project, which kind of makes sense because it's a bit of a stretch for Apple. It's a tough business. Although Tesla has proven, and now a lot of other startups like Lucid have proven, maybe you don't have to be GM or Ford to make a car and sell it successfully in the United States. In fact, Tesla's the most valuable car company in history. And doing very, very well all over the world. So maybe Apple will come up with some secret sauce. It's hard to imagine exactly what they would do. But apparently they're spending billions of dollars every year. There's more than 1,000 of engineers working on it. They took it to heart, even though they were blackmailed into it. The other thing Apple is now, we think, pretty clearly going to announce, if not in a month at the Worldwide Developers Conference, which is coming up, then in the fall, is augmented reality or virtual reality headgear. And the reason we think it's going to actually happen this time, because they've been talking about it for years, is Mark Gurman, the rumor guy at Bloomberg, says that the board of directors was shown the device.
Yeah, I actually got to see a trial of it.
And that's, of course, that's when the iPhone came out, same thing. You got to show the board, hey, here's what we're going to announce. So that means they're fairly close. It was must have been a working prototype. So that'll be interesting. Although, as far as we know, it's not going to be anything better than, say, the Oculus Quest.
Right. It's going to be a mixed reality device. So it'll be a little bit better than the current Oculus Quest, but the next one that Meta is working on is called the Cambria, and that is an AR/VR style device, meaning that you can both use it in augmented reality, where things are overlaid on your vision, or virtual reality, where you don't see anything out in the world. Your reality is completely replaced. This first one is going to be this sort of mixed style headset, whereas the one that's sometime this decade, as they are now saying, is the one that's full-on augmented reality, like Google just showed off at its event.
It's interesting when you see these big tech companies all kind of converging on a technology like augmented reality. You kind of say, well, there must be something to it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think that's what they're saying. Well, look how much money Google's putting into this. We got to do it. Well, look how much money Meta's putting in. We got to do it. Well, look how much money Apple's doing. So it may be self-fulfilling, maybe one of those things where they all are kind of looking at each other and saying, we better do this. Because as much as people seem to like VR, I don't see a huge demand for it. In fact, there are a number of companies that you would go in their storefront and you would do these VR games. They were actually really fun. We did one that was a Star Wars game, and you were given, physical items. You put on the goggles. The physical items, which were just cheap pieces of plastic, looked like, real. What do those stormtroopers use? Those real
blasters,
real blasters, and you would go into a place that had physical stuff. If you took off the glasses, it's just plastic furniture. But with the glasses on, it all looked real, and you'd bump into it, and so you'd really. And there was elevators and stuff. It felt very realistic. I thought, this is amazing. This is so much fun. They just went bankrupt. So I'm not convinced there's a market.
And I think that's especially because not since the first person invented the sailing ship have we had a device that makes so many people sick. You know what I mean? Like seasickness.
Yes.
It's amazing that there are as many ships as there are because there's so many people who get sick from getting on a boat. I feel like the same applies. The phone doesn't make that many people sick. These other devices don't. But people put on a headset, and there's like a huge swath of the community that is just completely blocked out
one of
from
them.
able to do this.
Yeah. In fact, when I put on the headsets, I'm amazed. If you, one of the little demos years ago for the Oculus was you were standing in the edge of a skyscraper looking down, and your heart started pounding. You started sweating. Your palms were sweating because you feel like you could fall off. It's terrifying. So it really does trick your mind, and then you get sick.
It just depends on how well it can trick your mind. And I can play the games where you don't move and everything else around you kind of does.
Yeah.
But any of the ones where you have to actually move your character forward, I don't know, 10 minutes and I'm done. makes me ill. So
we'll just have to see.
I think that's where augmented reality can be that thing.
Because then you're seeing the real world.
Yes, and I think that you're less likely to get sick, and I think that that's why that's the bigger bet for Apple and others. And also, anytime you have to tell someone, it goes against our baser nature to close off what's around us just due to, our need to sort of be aware of what's going on. It's a little scary for some people, I think, to sort of close off from that.
The VR storefront thing we did was called The Void.
The Void.
The Void. And we did it down in Santa Monica. And you might say, well, it was a pandemic that killed them. And sure, it did put the final nail in the coffin, but they were struggling even long before the pandemic. And in fact, I don't think any... there's amusement parks that have some VR games and VR rides. I don't know.
I can't imagine getting on a roller coaster and wearing a VR headset. I would be...
Well, that's the thing. You aren't on a roller coaster, but you think you are.
I see.
You're in a little cart, and it's on a robotic arm, and it tosses you around.
I have done one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Also make you sick, but that's anyway, it's always interesting because if you're Apple and 52% of your income, according to the last quarter, comes from one product, the iPhone, there's a lot of pressure on you from the shareholders, from the board, and just internally to come up with the next big thing.
Yeah.
The problem is, there has never been a consumer product as successful as the iPhone.
Right.
Nothing even close. So you're never going to come up with another iPhone unless you're extraordinarily lucky or brilliant. And as lucky and brilliant as Apple has been, I don't see another iPhone in their future. But you can see why they're making these big bets. This is a car. It could be. If you could make a car that, look at Tesla. If you could make a car that everybody wanted, I got to get that Apple car. If you could make a VR headset that didn't make people nauseous, I could see it. And people are saying it's not just the future of play, it's the future of work.
Right.
It's everything. So, they're looking for that. They're also looking, there's one other initiative Apple's working hard on, and that's the health initiative. And for years, and Tripp talks about this a little bit, for years they bought a company that said, we can tell what your blood sugar is with a wristwatch. It didn't work. For years, they've been trying to figure that out because there are 14 million diabetics in the U.S. And if you could come up with
They cracked that code.
You don't have to prick your finger. You just put on a wristwatch and it tells you where their blood sugar is. Huge, huge. So that's another area Apple's working really hard on. And I guess they're just saying, there's no sign of the iPhone slowing down.
Right.
But I think they'd like to have another, a follow-up. We'll see. Cars, health, or augmented reality. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. You want to talk to Micah and me? 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We can talk about this or anything on your mind. The website is techguylabs.com. More to come. What are you doing the rest of the weekend? You going down to see American Graffiti Days downtown? Watch a bunch of old cars drive around?
Oh, no. Maybe actually I should talk to Sebastian.
Does he like that?
He does
that kind
like
of thing?
Cars.
So we went last night to the Trader Joe's parking lot. All the old cars are there. Man, that smell of gasoline in the air. And it's funny because they're playing oldies,
that'd be fun.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ram. And I'm thinking, every year these oldies get older. These are like 60-year-old songs now.
Holy moly.
When I was 20, a 60-year-old song would be...
A newie?
From when, I don't know what it would be, from 1916. It would be... Well, the Titanic went down, and I don't know what it would be. There weren't any recordings back then. So, what oldies are really old now.
The old oldies.
They're like Beethoven.
Wow. I never thought about that. Yeah. I consider those the oldies, Bob Ryan and all those.
Yeah.
So, what does my youngest brother consider the oldies?
Blue moon. That's what I was hearing when I was walking up. Cruising the Boulevard. Petaluma's salute to American graffiti, an annual celebration of American graffiti, which was partially shot here. Oh, so we're sitting in the parking lot, the Target parking lot, there at a table. Mackenzie Phillips and Candy Clark, two of the stars of the American Graffiti movie. That was pretty cool.
That's neat.
I went over, I gawked. I didn't ask for an autograph. Lisa said, let's get a picture. I said, yeah, no.
When is it that they do the reenactment thing? Or has that already been done?
They used to do at 2 in the morning. They might have already done it. I don't know if they're going to do it this year. But one of the scenes in American Graffiti, in the middle of the night, remember, it's the night they all graduated from high school and they're all going to go their different ways. Did you ever see the movie? 1962. No. Oh, it's a great movie. You should see it. But one of the things, Ron Howard and the boys, they sneak up behind the squad car and they put a hook on its back axle. And then they run around in front and make go, and the car kind of speeds off and then pulls their wheels off. And so they reenact that because it was shot downtown in Petaluma, right next to McNear's. There's an empty lot there. It was shot there. So every year at 2 a.m., they didn't do it in COVID, but they might have done it this year. They put it, they have the old squad car, and they reenact that scene.
They even have the old car.
And they do it in the middle of the night. So I don't know if they did that this year, but they have been. Today's the day, I guess, for Cruising the Boulevard. Let's see, is it a car show? Is that what's going on? May 19th through 21st. Remember Flat Tops? You remember that. Dancing the Bop. Friday night sock hops. Aww. How old do these people have to be?
Can they do sock hops
White
anymore?
Bucks, blue suede shoes, and bobby socks?
Wow.
I mean, we're talking... This is like 70 years ago now. I think it's a strange kind of nostalgia. Petticoats, pegging your jeans, and root beer floats. Cruising the main drag and grabbing a Coke. Although...
What is pegging your jeans?
You fold them up a little bit. You shorten them. You probably do it and you just don't even know it because I think they're back. Pegged jeans are back.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
But Lisa tells me that when she was a kid in the 70s, they were still cruising up and down the boulevard.
This sounds like the start of a Judge Judy or something.
He says she owes him money for the paint job she did on the garage. She says he painted it purple. Who's right? Let's ask Judge Micah. Bill on the line, Dana Point, Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, your tech guys for the day. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Leo. How you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Hey, I'm doing a little project in my front yard and redoing some landscaping and putting in some chameleon lights by a company called Brilliance. And all these are Wi-Fi lights. So you got an app and you can change the colors and do whatever you kind of want with them. So Christmas time, whatever. Red.
So cool.
But going out, I don't have Wi-Fi that goes out that far. So I've seen these extenders that you plug in, but all the reviews are not good. So am I better off just kind of getting the Cox guy out here and extending a hard...
Well, let me ask you, I also have a backyard lighting that is Wi-Fi, but the only thing that needs to be Wi-Fi is the base station. Does each light bulb need to be on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, each one could be programmed separately.
Because they're all individual. Yeah. So, the system I had, I just had to make sure the base station was... It ended up putting a base station in the garage, which was on the other side of the wall from where the Lucid Lights controller was. So that was an easy problem. But now, you've got all those lights need to be on Wi-Fi. Now, the good news is they're going to be on 2.4 gigahertz, which, the Wi-Fi has two different frequencies, 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz, and then multiple channels within those wavelengths. 2.4 travels very well compared to 500 and should be able to go 100, 150 feet. So are the lights farther than 100 feet away from the house?
No, probably about 50.
Oh, good.
60 feet.
So yeah, you just then need, and are they roughly in the same area, or is it like is it all around the house?
Yeah, I'm kind of going Clark Griswold. So,
well, remember what happened to Clark when he plugged it in. So that's more challenging. If it were all in the backyard, let's say, then you just put a base unit or an extender near, closest to that on the other side of the wall, and that might be enough. The wall materials are also relevant. If it's plaster, lath, and wood, no problem. If it's metal, if it's got mesh in the lath or the plaster or the drywall, then that's going to be a barrier. So because Wi-Fi can go through things like wood, and drywall, but can't go through metal. So all of this is going to go into play. You probably what you want to look at is a mesh system. What are you using now? What router are you using now?
That's over my pay grade. I just know
Are you using the one that came from the company that gives you internet, your ISP?
Yeah, it's from Cox, and the router and everything's kind of in the back of our house. So it's kind of, even when I step in my garage, the signal gets weak.
This is increasingly becoming an old-fashioned way to do Wi-Fi. In a small footprint, say 1,500 square feet, a single router is fine. But as soon as you go past that, that router is really not going to work. So we're seeing more and more systems from Netgear and Cisco, and Eero is the big name. That's from Amazon, that do these mesh systems. So what you'll have is a base station. And by the way, you can use this with your Cox system. You're just going to replace the router that Cox gave you with this device. So I'll give you an example with an Eero. So you buy the Eero base station. You put that where the Cox device is right now. So you'll have a cable modem, but you don't need their router. Often they provide you with one device that's both a cable modem and a router. So you'll need to either disable that router or talk to Cox and say, I just want a cable modem. Or in the case of most cable companies, Cox included, you can buy your own cable modem for about $100. It's going to be better than what they offer, and then you don't have to pay rent anymore. So you get a cable modem. That's what takes the coaxial cable coming into the wall and turns it into internet. And then you attach that cable modem to the base station, the Eero base station, and then you get what they call beacons. And you can get as many beacons as you want and put them, what you're going to try to do is put them near a window, because then it's just glass, closest to where your Brilliance lights will be. You may need several of these. The cost does go up. They're about $100 a beacon, so you're going to end up, for a base station plus 2 beacons, it starts around $400 and then it goes up from there. But you'll certainly be able to get coverage as long as they're not more than 50 feet away from the house and you can get to a window or somewhere where the Wi-Fi can go through the wall.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading about the mesh and all that stuff. I said I was just wondering.
Everybody's using mesh now. Yeah.
Hire a guy that does it for a living and have him come out and do it right.
So what he'll do, and what he'll do, and you could do this, but this is what he does, is he'll do an assay of the property. He'll go with a meter and see where the farthest light is and see what he needs, and he'll put in something. It may cost a lot of money, but it'll work. Yeah. I bet you those Brilliance lights cost a lot of money too. How many lights are you putting in?
16. So
yeah, those add up.
Plus the transformer and everything else, it's not that, but what the heck.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Are you kidding me? I love our lights because the backyard is subtly lit after the sun goes down, and it really adds to, I think, the presence. Now, we don't have that fancy colored light thing, but you're going to have all sorts of fun
Soon
things.
He will.
Soon
it's
he will,
just
a matter of time.
Well, the beauty is, too, they got the lights that can go into just a basically 110 that could connect too. So I can leave my light on the whole time, put them in the app. Now my lights that I had to physically turn on and off, I leave them on. Now they can be controlled by the app too. So now I can set those on a timer as well.
Oh, that's nice. Sounds like a great system. You should also call Cox and say, look, I need a mesh system. What are you going to do? Because a lot of companies, Cox has a mesh system they call, I think, panoramic Wi-Fi pods. I've never heard of these. Comcast bought a company They make pods. So yeah, it looks like they call them Wi-Fi extenders. Now, a Wi-Fi extender is not mesh. The thing to know about mesh is it doesn't slow your network down. An extender does. Now, they call them extenders, but it looks like these pods, these are the same pods that Comcast uses. So this is actually a pretty good system. You just need a lot of them. So don't get a Wi-Fi extender, get a mesh system. And Cox will offer them. That's the other way you could go, is get Cox to do it. These little pods plug into the wall. They might even have outdoor ones that would work. So you could plug them in wherever you've got an outside outlet. That would probably work better. The kind of the model that they use to describe these is, think of, you wouldn't try to read a book from the lamp. You wouldn't try to read a book in the living room from a lamp in the bedroom, right? So these pods are like lamps. They're pools of Wi-Fi. So you're going to put them everywhere you want Wi-Fi, which means you tend to put more in. They're not as powerful. They use these so-called panoramic Wi-Fi pods. It works, but Eero would probably do a better job. It just depends on, who you're going to get to do it. If you got a guy, he'll make a recommendation. We ended up putting, in our house, Ubiquiti Wi-Fi. We have six of them, but it works so well. Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, coming up. More calls. Netgear Orbeez are great. Love the Orbi. We replaced the Orbeez with the Ubiquitis. There are lots of ways to do it. Cox has something, so you could ask them. View specs. Yeah, it's AC 3000 gigabit. That's good. If you like Cox, these will work with their existing router. This might be the simplest. You plug these into the wall. These don't look a lot like the pods that Comcast offers, but maybe they're just cosmetically similar. How are panoramic Wi-Fi pods different from Wi-Fi extenders? Yeah, these are mesh, so that's what you want. Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club Twit. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club Twit Discord, a great clubhouse for Twit listeners. And finally, the Twit Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support. Doing the best we can. Micah Sargent, Leo Laporte, your two tech guys. Now, taking your calls at 8888 Ask Leo.
And Micah.
And Micah.
You can type in and it will still go.
You can dial all those numbers. We tested it. If you really want to. I think, it'd be nice if they did. Just, out of respect for you.
Yeah.
8888 Ask Leo and Micah. Chris is on the line. Oh, it's Coffee Guy, Chris from Miami. Hello, Chris.
Well, I am back again with 5 cups easy, and
I forgot to tell you to back off the speakers.
You
got to sit back when Chris gets.
Off.
No, not you. We have to. Yeah.
Oh.
So do you drink your coffee? We were discussing this. Black or with just cream and sugar?
Yeah.
No, I don't get in there and start putting all. So if I want that, I'll hit up the Starbucks. I drink my coffee black straight up.
Whew. He's the real. But wait a minute, what's in your coffee? Is it just coffee?
Well, the coffee that okay. So I'm going to get this real quick here because I know that people do ask me this question. So I have with me now the Sisal SISEL Cafe Premium. Now, what we got in here is I ordered this. It's ground already. It's the Panama Boquete. That's BOQUETE Geisha ground coffee. Ultra rich black brown coffee with extracts of chaga, gotu kola, bacopa, and organic Ganoderma.
Are you casting a spell right
Those
now?
are mushrooms, right? This is a potion.
Bacopa.
Well, if you go to SISEL.net, it's right in there.
It's all in there.
That's my company website.
The state of California requires the following statement. This product can expose you to acrylamide, which is known in the state of California to cause cancer and birth defects.
Oh, because that's the one with collagen in it. Don't drink the collagen.
Here's the deal. What he's talking about is true if you're drinking roasted coffee. This is infrared roasted. There's a massive under 20% of coffee companies in the United States. No one does their coffee and buys their coffee like this, but there's only under 20% of coffee companies in the United States that actually infrared, with the infrared technology, roast the coffee bean versus flame roasting your coffee beans. There is a massive, it's night and day.
I need to try some.
And I was going to buy a home coffee roaster, so now I have to think twice about this. All right.
Oh man.
Okay.
Now,
infrared.
something else I want to throw on the table for Micah, because I am.
Actually, the table's not for Micah; it's wood. But okay, go ahead.
Wood's good.
Wood's good.
Nothing wrong with wood. But is that by nature I am not gluten free. However, I buy my bread and other things like cereals and stuff from this company called the Oven Door. It is a Canadian-based company, and there's also a thing with gluten that you got to be careful that you don't involve yourself with gluten contaminants. Mm-hmm. That's a biggie. Like if you have one company growing, like say kale, which is conventional, next to organic, you could get the contaminants rolling over to the organic side. So just because it says organic doesn't really.
When did I lose control of the show exactly? Did somebody make a note of that? I just curious.
You, Leo. I'm saying trouble already.
This is what happens when you drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah,
your enthusiasm level goes up.
And you also just sort of have 10 thoughts at once.
Coffee.
Yeah, infrared
roasted. But its heat is heat, right? But you're saying the flame heat is too hot?
No. Go to the website at sisel.net and read about what they do and where they get their coffee and how they do the coffee.
Mike is a coffee snob. Micah really is a coffee snob. Yeah.
He will. So,
lower acid.
I'm going to make this sisel.net, which is actually an acronym. It actually stands for something, but I want Leo to do the talking. It's not my radio.
Well, I know. I'm just here to say, what can we do to help you?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so Mac computers, I'm thinking, I was going to send you an email, but since it's a little bit too complicated, I was thinking about going with a regular iMac computer versus the Mac Studio. I don't know if I need to be dropping $3,000 to $5,000.
That's a really
system.
Yeah, that's a great question. If you were going to buy a Mac today, the first thing I'd say is absolutely wait until WWDC because you're less than 2 weeks, you're 3 weeks away from it. So Apple will almost certainly announce some new hardware this year at WWDC. So the keynote is Monday, June 6th. So Monday by noon, you should know whether you need a new, which computer to get. They probably will announce. Do you want a desktop? Is that you don't want a laptop?
I like to flow along the same lines that you do. That I like the idea of the desktop. I miss having a monitor and a Mac Studio. I like the idea of separating church and state, but it's really become cost prohibitive for me to go in that direction.
Yeah, I have laptops and desktops, and But if you just want one computer, one thing you could do is get a laptop and a big screen, keyboard and mouse. One of the nice things about Macs is that they work in clamshell mode.
That's what I rocked for the longest time was this MacBook Pro right here, just connected to two external displays with a dock.
And you don't even have to keep it open.
Yeah, it stayed closed, and the two external displays were my displays.
So you wouldn't...
for a long time.
Yeah.
We did that.
All right, well, you're aware of that.
And then we went back to an iMac again. So we're back. We like that little bit of a larger footprint. 23 inches sounds like a big deal, but I'd have to drop $3,000 because I'd want to deck it out for the next 3 years. I don't want to keep updating. Apple doesn't, this is wonderful to get all these great, in fact, I was in Apple last night. I brought my iPhone in. I got the 12 Pro. Somehow between iOS 15.4.1 and 15.5, it broke my speaker. So this is where having Apple Care comes in to the people that are listening, because it would cost me $388. That's all covered under Apple Care. no one knows how it happened, but my iPhone is back to being brand new. So I like the toys, but if you don't have Apple Care insurance, it's almost $400 for a speaker, which is $60, plus almost $300 for the panel, for the glass. So it's something for people to seriously consider.
You've heard me talk about this idea that the problem I have with the iMacs is you make the investment in both a monitor and a computer, which cannot be separated. So you're kind of deciding all at once what monitor, and if down the road you want a different kind of monitor or a bigger monitor, you could, but you've kind of wasted money on a monitor that's too small or you don't want. I like separating them, but don't think you have to go with the Mac Studio. The Mac Studio is a higher end Mac designed to use a monitor and kind of look like a high end iMac. But I'm using right now a Mac Mini. The first M1 Mac Mini with a big screen, and it's a great combination. And honestly, for most of the stuff I do, I see no appreciable speed difference between this, the Mac Studio Ultra. It's plenty fast for browsing, for selling coffee, for email, for the kinds of things you probably do. Now, even for photography, I think it's more than fast enough. If you were going to be doing a lot of 8K video editing, then you'd want a Mac Studio. But it's most people. You're not doing video editing.
I'm not doing photo editing, but not video editing.
I think it's even fine for photo editing. I think the M1 is such a nice chip. You don't really. So look, instead of a Studio, really think of the choice being between an M1 Mac Mini and the Mac iMac. Those are same generation, same speed. Now, one thing I would say is they may well announce a new Mac Mini on the 6th.
Yep.
So really the real rule is exercise whatever patience you can. In 3 weeks, call me in 3 weeks and we'll know a lot better what's out there. But I think any M1 is really great.
I agree.
I can't believe that made you laugh. That's such an old joke. So do you think the mushrooms are important to the overall coffee experience, Chris?
Well, I'm not the one that makes the coffee, but if you want to learn about it, I can tell you about it all day, but go to SISEL, which is the name of the company.
All right. How much stock do you own in this company?
It's not about stock. I'm a business owner.
You don't own the company, but you're a franchisee of it, right?
Yeah, I really am. But you know what? They really have the world's best tasting and healthiest coffee, and you need to read about it and learn about it because it's really in there. I wasn't raised a coffee drinker. I was raised a tea drinker because most
I do like tea.
Grocery store.
I do like tea.
We also have the green tea that this company carries really is the best I've ever had. And I don't do sales. So if this coffee comes ground for a purpose because there's a proprietary process that they put the coffee through, and it's really that good. I don't like flame roasted coffee. I won't touch it because to me, no matter what you do with it, it's just tasteless, and you have to add cream or sugar to it just to compensate the lack of the fact that, like Micah said earlier, they will put this warning that the more, roasted coffee can cause the growth of acrylamides in your system. That's real. That's not fake. Mm-hmm. This coffee doesn't do that. And when you learn about the Sizzle Cafe coffee, you learn about the world's best tasting and healthiest full cup for an absolute purpose, whether you want it or you don't want it, whether you drink coffee, you don't drink coffee. It's just as a product, as a coffee from Panama, it is the number one coffee bean, the most expensive coffee bean in the world. That's just the truth.
I've never had any because you've never sent me any.
It's coming your way. I've got 3 people out there from Apple to you that want coffee. So I'm working on budget. I'm working on money. I'm working on sending some coffee directly to your studio for you and Lisa. I haven't forgotten.
Thank you. Chris, I always appreciate your calls. You're always a lot of fun. And I know we make fun of your brash energy, but we enjoy it.
It's always good. Yeah.
It's always good.
Revamps.
I get this everywhere because people don't have energy. They don't have a personality. They're basically just, I don't know. I don't really think about it. But
where were you born, Chris? You're not from Florida.
I was originally born in Syracuse, New York. I moved to Massachusetts for a number of years, and then from there I moved to California, which I think was the best time I ever had. I lived in California, up and down the state, well, except for Los Angeles, which is basically ground zero, up and down the state until about 1986. And then I moved back to Boston, and I lived in Boston for a number of years. And then in August of 2004, I moved to Miami, and I've been here with my husband now for August 2004 until now, May.
Is it the climate that you like there?
I just get tired, honestly. I get tired of the cold. I mean, frozen fingers and scars, and sneezing and snow and cleaning the car and cleaning the stuff. And I
completely understand.
For a long time. I worked at the casinos in Connecticut, and but I miss California. Everybody in California, it's just a very different state now, but I do miss it. But I just because you were raised in Rhode Island. I lived, West Warwick.
Yeah.
I know Rhode Island very, very well, but I was glad to get the heck out of there because I was just tired of, my friend just got 13 inches of snow in Colorado, and I'm like, I'm going to the beach. Leave me alone. So having a personality is nice. It's just something that it has nothing to do with the coffee. That's just my nature is to be abundant in personality. Every day is a chance for you to make an impact and help people with things in their life. And so I just like to have a good personality.
Bless you, Chris. Gotta run for the Dickie.
You're gone.
See ya. Bye-bye.
I know it, but I don't know the name of it.
Do you know it, Dick?
Greatest dancer?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Getting jiggy with it.
They all sound the same, to be honest.
Isn't that the remix?
T. Yeah. I want to know who is the greatest dancer. Yeah.
There you go.
Well done, Dick Debartolo. This is why we call him our Disco Dick. He is the Giz Wiz, our Gizmo Wizard, Mad Mag. He's got many names, many titles. Mad Magazine's maddest writer. Somebody gave me the highest praise earlier on the show, said I reminded them of Gene Rayburn.
Oh, that's very good.
And I modeled myself on Gene Rayburn. I mean, he was relaxed.
You know what?
You
got a brownie point. You got a brownie point for me about a minute and a half ago when the guy on the phone said, "And this is for Micah," and you said, "No, the desk is not for Micah." I thought that's.
I'm learning from the master. He is the master.
He's quick with the
and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Dick, but Dick was dyslexic as a youth. And I honestly, am I wrong?
Yeah.
No. And I honestly think that your sense of humor comes from the fact you see things kind of inverted.
Interesting.
And but the reason I mention this is there's a whole movement now to celebrate neurodiversity. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, well, that's a disability, you're dyslexic, you can't read very well, to say that's what makes people unique. We don't want to all have the same kind of brain.
Right.
And I thank God that you were made in this way because it made you hysterically funny.
I agree.
That and the fact that you got beat up every day in school. Between the two.
Exactly. Between the two.
One of those things.
Well, I inherited dyslexia from my spouse, Dennis, because that's the first time anybody's put that label on me, but that's fine.
Oh, you mean you weren't? As a kid, they didn't know. They didn't know from dyslexia. They probably. How were you in school? Were you good in school?
I was pretty good in school.
Oh well, never mind.
But you know what?
Forget I said all this. So it was Dennis that said you're dyslexic, not.
Exactly.
Never mind. Exactly. Forget I said anything.
Dr. Dan.
You're just you have a unique view of the world. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no,
which
absolutely.
I love.
I think when you make things a little cockeyed, it makes life easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I wrote down that guy was talking about his blend.
Yeah.
Mine is Sumatra.
Sumatra.
Touch of cream and mushroom.
Cream and mushroom. A little Campbell's, or does it matter? Does it matter?
It's got to be Campbell's.
Campbell's. Okay.
Jelly Belly for flavor.
Love it. Which kind though?
Hint of parsley.
Hint of parsley.
And roasted at home with a hairdryer on low.
Yeah, very important.
Nice.
On low.
Because flame roasted is no good, but a hairdryer on low.
Yeah.
Chef's
and then,
kiss.
Blended in a mix master.
Do you ever boil water or anything like that? No, you just drink it straight. No. So tell me, my friend. Tell me.
Okay, so this is going to be. Wait a second. I first have to ask Micah. Mm-hmm. Is there a Five Below near you guys?
Five Below.
Is that a store?
What is that?
Oh, I guess not. Okay, there is none then. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about a
Is it a store?
chair.
Tell us what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a chain of stores
Yeah.
where everything is $5 or below.
Oh, well, see, we have something
Okay.
even better here. We have the dollar store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where everything's $2 or less.
Yes. Well, Five Below also has now and above.
And above, yeah. Inflation's killing
so-
everything. Yeah.
I found this, and I thought you guys had a store that. I found the Titan green screen for chairs. Okay.
Oh, I just ordered a green screen. You're going to kill me.
Leo.
Here.
Oh, Leo. This green screen for the chair was $10. However,
$159, the one I ordered.
Okay. However, I subscribed to an email, several emails that say what's being closed out. It says that Five Below is closing out the green screens for $5.
$5?
Okay. Now, the thing is, the reason I asked if he had a store is that if you buy it over the internet, it's $7.95 to ship.
Yeah.
But anything you buy, it's $7.95 if you order one thing or $30. But it's really great fun.
So here you are. You're going to use this thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's one of those
it
things
comes
that-
like it's a spring loaded, right? Whoop.
It's spring loaded.
Oh my!
And then
I should have
used
bought
a
this. I can't
saber
believe it.
saw to get this back into the package.
I know.
Now,
I know. They're
it's
impossible.
four
Forever
quadrants.
going to be.
Yeah. And then it has 3 straps in the back with Velcro or hook
Do you
and loop.
attach them
more
to
likely.
you? Oh, you attach them to the chair.
You attach it to the back of the chair.
Oh.
And now, this I didn't know while playing with the green screen. Skype has a way to put a background behind you without a green screen.
Yeah, but it's not as good because it goes through.
No, it's not as good because I tried that.
Yeah.
And if you move any which way, you become a mess.
Right.
With
Exactly.
this green screen behind you, you can move around fairly well. Now, I asked my co-host Chad to drop a background in, so he did that. But
look at that. So there you are in the streets of New York in 1898.
Yeah, the year I was born.
It's incredible. Incredible. What? You're actually, it's funny because you're riding backwards on a trolley car. So, but that really, it actually looked really good.
Yeah.
So,
and it's easy
if
to
you
put
just want to
away
play
afterward.
green screen.
Yeah.
I bought from Elgato.
I thought so. I thought that was
Oh my gosh, that's the king of green screen.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dick is right now, he's out in Central Park in a tent, but it looks like he's in Disneyland.
You know, when I do Zoom meetings, people always say, is that a virtual background? And I go, no.
No, it's real.
I built this with my hands.
With his brains and his hands.
Now, do
and
you
his
have
heart.
the one that comes up out of the box?
Yeah.
And
it rolls
Well,
away.
it hasn't come yet, but yeah.
I've got that one.
I thought it'd be
And
kind of
it's
cool.
fantastic.
I have a good-looking office, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to be in space, or Rod Pyle's always
that
in
Elgato
Mars.
thing is
Or if you're playing
really
games.
great.
We should explain what a green screen is. So,
It's a screen that's green.
It's perfectly green. Yeah.
And it goes behind wherever you happen to be sitting. And what happens is that you tell the computer, hey, I want you to make a color that's in the video disappear, make it invisible. And so you can choose that green, which is different from our skin tones in most cases. And that way, that whole part disappears. That way you can layer things behind you.
It's clever.
And have you cut out.
There's a guy on TikTok, I don't know if you've seen it, who has a green screen that straps to his back.
Oh,
and
funny.
Then he does his Zoom meetings. Like he'll attach a camera to the handlebars of his bicycle, and you don't know he's on a bicycle.
I bet I could do that with this
you could totally. And it looks like he's in his office, but he's jiggling.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's funny. And Dick, I've got to thank you for last week's recommendation, the Foamalanche.
You have it already?
Can I show this video you sent out?
I don't think so. No,
because it's your little niece.
My little niece. I bought it. I got it sent to her, and she got the Foamalanche and had so much fun, howling laughter. Just absolutely loved it. There was foam all over the porch.
It was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
So cute. cute.
It was so cute. So let me tell you, folks, if you want to find out more about Dick's chair green screen or the Fomalanche, buy both together, and then mirth and merriment will ensue. It's all at gizwiz.biz, GIZWIZ.biz. That's also where you'll find GizWiz merchandise and the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine by identifying a close-up picture of a gizmo, and of course Dick's podcast, gizwiz.tv. Giz, have a Giz. Giz, have a wonderful week, Mr. Giz.
You too, buddy. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next
Bye-bye,
week.
Dick.
Thank you, Micah Sargent.
Bye. Thank Micah.
Thanks to everybody who joined us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week.
Giz.
Hey, Giz. Come here, Giz. Over here, Giz. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.